Text the round robin your questions, comments, wagers. Give us a reason. Sleeper fantasy play, your best alternative line, whatever you have. Text the round robin 757 354 5517.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the brave and the home of the brave?
This is the Deep End Broadcasting Network.
You are tuned in to the Round Robin with Stephen Murray on Deep End Broadcasting.
Still singing Bible night before I pray is on the bed. Way overhead I see the crowd and flashing through the lights. I'd rather see the college have something I would be like. To the free show, never know what's going on, just happy to exist.
Good morning, wherever you are tuning in across the world. This is the Round Robin. You are on the Deep End Broadcasting Network. I am Stephen Murray. It is 6:03 a.m. Eastern Standard Time here on the coastal line of Virginia. Summer has finally ended around here as the cold front comes through overnight and cools us off from what I think was 77 and humid yesterday here. Much windier and chilly, 53. So we really get the autumn feel. And can you believe that we are into week 10 of the NFL already? Wow, 10 weeks deep. And to think that this studio went from one little camera pointed at a Patriots bucket, purely on audio, to a fully functioning graphics multi-camera operation. And happy to report that all the audio issues, I think, are permanently. You can't say that. You can't say that, especially right now. Everything's going to hit the fan. But we got everything correctly adapted now. Man, it's amazing the pieces of advice that you can get from the smart people. Listen to the smart people. Don't listen to the dumb people. I'll tell you that. We are live. This is your first look at the NFL wagering slate. This is the Round Robin. And what we are here to do is put the minimum investment into the maximum profit. And man, we have a lot to go over. Trying to get the maximum profit today, but even looking forward. Let's see, Dave Grande, he's on the road in Denver for his mom's 90th birthday. So happy birthday to Mom Del Grande. Dave will join us in the next segment, and we'll talk about the AFC West, the NFC West games. We have quarterback issues already. We'll touch on the Bills, see what he thinks of them. I can't believe the Bills have only gone over one time this year, the over-under point total. So the Bills, who I called a potential bookie slaughter machine, they have not been that. Are they the best team in the AFC? I think that's very debatable. So we'll ask Dave about that. Of course, Nephew Dave, I think he's going to be happy. I woke up to a nice winning college football text from Nephew Dave. So he's going to be on fire, and hopefully his picks will carry into today. And then also the Ant-Man, he will probably be lurking around the studio. We anticipate him coming in. We had a pretty easy weekend around the homestead and the compound here at the Deep End Broadcasting Studios here in the Chicks Beach area of Virginia Beach. So we were able to get all kinds of good studio stuff done and things to help out the broadcast. So Ant, he should be in prime form this morning. I think we're all in prime form. No craziness this weekend, unlike Halloween and all that. But I think that's going to change pretty soon. Of course, we have Thanksgiving coming up. We'll have a special Thanksgiving show. So we'll come on Thanksgiving that Thursday at 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. We actually might make that a 9. We will probably make that a 9 o'clock broadcast. So I'm going to make that official right now. So 9 o'clock Eastern Standard Time for 1 hour, we will come on and break down the 3 Thanksgiving Day games. So take note of that. Our Deep End Christmas party is official, and all of you guys are invited. So that will be at the CP Shuckers location, Shore Drive location in Virginia Beach. That will be a special start time of 8:30 a.m. until 11:30 a.m. And we will have shorty mimosas, Bloody Marys, I think screwdrivers. There'll definitely be a tab going on the company, but there will be cheap happy hour prices when that tab runs out. So, get there early. And we also have food. So thank you, CP Shuckers. They will be hosting us on Sunday, December the 18th. So that is the Sunday before Christmas and Christmas Eve. So that should be week 15 if I play that right in my head. So CP Shuckers, maybe that's week 14. That might be week 14, actually. Yeah, that makes more sense in my head. All right, so week 14, CP Shuckers, Shore Drive, 8:30 a.m. until 11:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. All you wonderful viewers are invited. All right, so join me and Nephew Dave and the Ant-Man as we have the mobile studio ready to go. So really stepping things up around here at the Broadcasting Network. Okay, a lot to get into. We got your odds down there at the ticker at the bottom. The weather, let's talk about that. We always want to talk about the weather the first thing. And I did some good investigating on my end, finally. We'll get the update from the Ant-Man. He seems to have a little bit better intel. But all the nasty weather that we've been experiencing across the country, I think all of that has moved out. So where it might be cooler, it's definitely not windy, and it's definitely not unbearable cold either. So we're talking about a lot of games that will be lighter winds, around 40 degrees, and sunny skies. So I don't think weather is going to be an issue anywhere. The one angle that I'm going to take a look at, and I feel like a lost puppy dog with the Patriots on the bye week, but I'm going to start maybe looking for some overs because this is the lowest I've seen the over-unders in the NFL in quite a few years, to be honest. Just generally overall, typically back in the 90s and the early 2000s, everything would range from, you'd get 36 and a halves all the way up until, I think 47, 48 would be an extremely high point spread at that point in time. Now, in recent years, you've seen a lot of these over-unders, mid-40s and higher for the most part. Now they're kind of settled back down some. We have a lot of 40 and a halves out there. I saw 41 and a half, some other low 40s. I think there's only 2 games above 48, and I think we even have a game under 40 points combined. So we will maybe take a look at that over angle. And, of course, we have the Buccaneers and the Saints. That's going to be an early game, too. That's in Munich. I'm sorry, Buccaneers and Seahawks. That's in Munich, Germany. So that's a 9:30 kickoff. And I'm going to actually have a play on that. I'll give that out right now. I mean, so you can try to get on board. I'm going to take Tampa. And I think the theory is simple on this. I don't trust the body clock of the Seahawks traveling that route. I think they took 10,000 miles to get there, and they have to have some kind of jet lag or something. I mean, they're going to be playing at 6 a.m. local time, their time, when this game kicks off. Brady and the Bucks coming from the East Coast, I think that's a much, much easier journey. And you got to think, man, Seattle to Germany, man, that's a crazy path. So you got to cut across Canada the whole way and then across the Atlantic Ocean just to take the short route. You got to think that's going to weigh on the Seahawks. I'm going to trust Brady in this spot, and I'm going to lay a couple touchdowns. I'll take him all the way up to minus 16.5, where I'm going to get a nice plus 450 payday, but I'm going to take them at minus 13.5 to be really, really safe. I think 2 touchdowns for Brady and the Bucks to win by in Munich this morning over a Seattle team that, you know, they've been hot. They've been great. They've been fun to watch, but I will be very impressed if they just don't look somewhat sluggish. I mean, that is just such a long trip. And this is purely just trying to take a really professional angle at things. I mean, let's keep it simple. That is a long trip, Seattle to Munich. Let's trust Brady after they got the win last week, maybe even by default, you know, the Rams and Buccaneers. Man, the Rams, wow. So Brady and the Bucks, we're going to take a stab at them. If you need to play some soccer this morning, we only have 3 games left. Not much of that interests me. Maybe take a look at some Brighton goals on their end. But there is a good game of 7 if you're really bored. If you can get on the ESPN Plus, then you can watch Burnley and Blackburn. That is a championship game. But that is the top 2 teams. And Blackburn, who is paying plus 420 on the road, that might be worth a shot, to be honest. The teams are pretty level. I think Blackburn trails Burnley by a couple points. But if you are really dying for some early 7 a.m. action, maybe take a stab at Blackburn. I think I have a small parlay with them in there somewhere. Okay, so we have nice weather everywhere. We talked about the Christmas party. We have a lot to go over. And I think what we'll go ahead and do is we'll get Dave Grande up here in a minute or two after the break, and we will discuss everything with the NFC West, the AFC West. See, what are the other story points there? Yeah, so multiple quarterback issues. That's the one thing I wanted to touch on the first segment. You're talking about where we've had a lot of injuries so far this year. We really haven't seen it affect the quarterback position too much. Of issues in Miami, issues in New England. You know, the 49ers, they did lose Trey Lance, their quarterback. But some of these seasons in past years, you get to the point where you might have 7, 8, or 9 quarterbacks out at any given time. We haven't had that, but Dak Prescott, he was out for the Cowboys. But we have some of that for sure today. And Josh Allen, his status, we'll have to definitely get an update on that. If he's not going, it's Case Keenum. If he does go, how healthy is he? And then in Los Angeles, you have Stafford and Kyler Murray, both of those quarterbacks out. So we might see the John Wofford against Colt McCoy showdown in SoFi Stadium. So we will take a look at that and get an update on all that as well. TCU yesterday, they go to, I think, 10-0. They've won 10 games. They beat Texas on the road. I mentioned that only for the fact that there were not much. There wasn't much of a great. It just was not much of a great sports day yesterday. And I'm not talking wagering. I'm just talking watching. The soccer was a little boring. We started the day off with a bang. Man City loses. Wow, they lost to Brentford. Brentford, a plus 1,800 underdog, beats Man City. And where I thought we had some opportunity later, I think some of these other teams got some motivation once Man City lost. Like Arsenal, I think they were fully motivated. So Arsenal goes 5 points clear to the top of that table. The only other notable thing I would say is this: Mississippi had every opportunity in the world to beat Alabama yesterday, and they just could not get it done. Man, on second down, they have a guy wide open in the flat, probably about 5 yards from the end zone. He's not going to get in. He's going to get tackled, but the quarterback takes a sack. Actually, I think that was on third down. They were running the ball really well. They decided to pass it on first down when they got down into the red zone area. So Mississippi with every opportunity in the world to beat Alabama, and they just did not get it done. I'm going to be a little extra bitter myself on that one, because if Mississippi just could have won that game outright, then we were looking at a very, very nice payday. We did get a good one last week, Sunday, though. If you followed around with the touchdown score props, Derrick Henry gets us 2. Devontae Adams gets us 2 touchdowns. And then also, who was the third player? Devontae Adams. Derrick Henry capped it off. We had Romeo Doubs, because this was a round robin, but he got hurt early. And then, who was the other one? Of course, I can't remember. But anyway, we hit it off pretty good with a nice round robin player prop touchdown score dealio. And we have another good one, hopefully, brewing for today. I think I have a few sneaky picks. We're going to hop on the Buccaneers, and we're going to move the alt line. So go ahead and get that locked in if you want. We'll do our deep dive menu with the whole crew coming up after Dave Del Grande. And we will discuss survivor picks. We're going to start our exercise of the best defenses, the teams who are stinky, and the teams who are stinky who can probably make a run at things. I think one of those is on the bye week now, but all the homework that we've been doing with that for the last 9 weeks, we're going to try to apply that to some winners today for week 10. We will be back with Dave Del Grande.
Know your gambling limits. Don't ever bet what you can't cover. Wagering on sports is only fun when you do it the right way. Not every bet will win. When you get on a bad run, know it and avoid trouble. Know your gambling limits.
Tired of your swimming pool's diatomaceous earth pool filter? The constant cleaning, green pool, cloudy water? I thought this was supposed to be clean. Trust your swimming pool's water quality with a custom sand filter install. A clean, easy solution for your swimming pool operations. Contact Dependable Solutions at 757-354-5517.
Hey, does your home have algae or stains on the siding? Is there grime built up on your deck or brick patio? Coastal Pressure Washing Services has a warranty of professional services. From pressure washing to window cleaning to deck and fence staining, as well as dryer vent cleaning, you got it all. Call Coastal Pressure Washing at area code 757-439-9810 or visit our website at coastalpressurewashing.net. Again, call Coastal Pressure Washing at area code 757-439-9810 or visit our website at coastalpressurewashing.net.
Do you want to advertise with Deep End Broadcasting? Send us an email at deepend757@yahoo.com. That's deepend757@yahoo.com.
Control your alcohol. Don't fight. Don't drink and drive. Your one punch could kill someone. It happens. If you're behind the wheel, you may think you are fine, but then the other driver is under the influence of texting, and then you are done. Control your alcohol.
joining us now in his usual spot from the West Coast, but he is in Denver actually this week on the road from Field Level Media. We have Dave Grande. Dave, let's just start right from the top. Let's talk about the Buffalo Bills just for a second. One, I don't think that they're the super team maybe that they're all been made out to be. I kind of made them out myself that way at the beginning of the year. I think I've used words like bookie slaughter machine. They've hardly been that. They've only gone over the total just once this entire season, which that's kind of shocking alone. Now, the quarterback, Allen, he's going to be banged up. So maybe we might see Case Keenum in there for some sustained amount of time. One, tell me your faith that you would have in Case Keenum stepping in for the Bills. And two, do you think they're slightly maybe overrated?
Well, I'm not sure I would say that they're overrated. I mean, obviously the rating went way up on opening night when they killed the Rams. But, looking back at that game now, it's far less impressive a win as we might have thought it was at the time. They've been, this has been a year, we've talked a lot about this. This has been a year where not very many things have happened that you would have expected to happen. And so we might have been looking at in the NFC, is Tampa going to be are they going to be the super team in the NFC? Is it going to be the Rams? Is it going to be Green Bay? It's none of those teams. And in the AFC, of course, you're always talking about Kansas City, and they're back up there again, but they're not the team maybe they were last year or a couple of years ago. And so I still think that Buffalo, while they might not be as good a team as we thought on opening night, I still think you would consider them the best team in the AFC, definitely, and definitely one of the top 2 or 3 teams in the NFL. And when you're talking about those teams, you're basically comparing them with the Eagles. Mm-hmm. And I would think that if they, if the Bills, if the quarterback were healthy and they went into a Super Bowl against the Eagles, I would expect the Bills to win that game. So while I don't think that they're, significantly better than a lot of these other teams, I just think that a lot of these other teams have fallen off, and that has made Buffalo, probably as strong a number 1 team in the conference as they were at the beginning of the year, even though they're not as good as maybe we thought on opening night, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. What about Keenum stepping in for? He's a seasoned veteran. He's been around a while. What about Keenum?
Yes, we see this a lot in sports where you have an underdog team, an underdog team, kind of a small market type of team that really rides the coattails of one player. I think of like the Dallas Mavericks in basketball. Not that Dallas is a small market, but Dallas is kind of an off the map basketball team that rides one superstar. And when that superstar gets injured, you really see that, wow, this team is not very good. And this one guy really makes the whole team come together. And I think this is one of those cases. I think this is a exceptional quarterback. This team does not really have a running game. They have one decent, not more than decent, one very good wide receiver, a pretty good defense, but it all revolves around the quarterback. And, he's probably their best, he's their best running back, the best running option anyway. And so I think, losing him, you lose in the passing game, you lose in the running game. And now all of a sudden your offense isn't as good. And so now you start looking at, well, it's time for the defense to carry this team a little. And while their defense is good, I don't think they're the type of team that can just say, let's just play conservatively and let our defense win or lose the game, because I don't think their defense is at that level. So I think that this is a very, very significant thing, and certainly something for Buffalo to really monitor. I mean, there's no need, and the way the playoffs are going this year, I really don't see the need to be the number one seed. I don't think it's good. The playoffs are going to be determined by, who has the home field advantage, because they're going to be so wide open. So even if the decision is, so should we rush Allen back so that we can get the top seed, or should we be conservative, give him a month off, so we lose 3 games, so we fall behind Kansas City, maybe one other team. I think I would, I think he's just so valuable that I would take the conservative approach and just say, hey, look, we need this guy healthy in December and in January. We don't need him on the field right now. So I would, even though I don't think, that they're that, a very good team. I think they're probably a very average team with Keenum at quarterback. I would still go in that direction.
The Bills, they lose to the Jets last week. Let's talk about Robert Saleh real quick, because he comes from San Francisco, the D coordinator. Talk about the job that he's done for the Jets so far.
Well, what can you say? I mean, everyone talked about him in San Francisco as this guy who had the potential to be a really good coach, and I think mostly that was based on his enthusiasm. You don't really see that at the NFL level very much. You see it mostly at the college level, where you see these real gung-ho, coaches and running up and down the sidelines and slapping guys on the helmet, and which is exactly what he was as the 49ers defensive coordinator. You wondered whether what was going to happen to his offense when he became a head coach, and I think this is a problem a lot of coaches have when they, again, you see this in other sports as well. When you hire a defensive-minded coach, well, that guy has to relinquish power on the offense, because that's just not his side of the game. And the problem with that is, well, when you're a defensive-minded head coach, you probably want to play conservatively, because you don't want to put your defense in bad situations. You want your defense to be able to win or lose games for you. So you're caught in a tough situation. You don't want to hire, Mike Martz as your offensive coordinator and say, okay, hey, just, go out there and throw the ball 50 times.
Yeah.
Because, that's not, not the way we want to play. You'd rather hire a veteran. Let's ball control. Let's punt the ball. Let's put my defense in good positions, because I'm confident my defense is going to be good. And certainly the Jets defense has been very good. The key to them is that their offense has also been adequate. They haven't made big mistakes so far that have cost them games. And we've seen this up and down the league this year. Look at teams like the Falcons, sitting atop their division, the Seahawks sitting atop their division. There's just so many examples of these teams that, wow, these teams are not very good. How in the world are they winning games?
Right.
Well, it's the team that doesn't make the mistakes,
Right.
and I think that's exactly what the Jets have become. And I think he's made a wise choice offensively, even though he had, he inherited Wilson as a quarterback. I think the fact that Wilson was injured earlier in the year actually helped this team a little, because it watered down their offense a little. It's like, we're going to be more of a running team. We're going to be more of a short passing team, a conservative offensive team that doesn't lose games. And the NFL this year, we've seen, if you can hang in there, it doesn't matter who you're playing. If you can hang in there, you can win the game at the end. And it's the reason why half the league is, 6-5 or 5-5 at this point.
Right. You talked about it. Nothing has kind of gone as we expected. Is there one maybe storyline that sticks out to you the most? That's the most shocking to you at this point of the season, good or bad?
Well, on the good side, you'd have to say it's the Eagles. I mean, to me, it's very difficult to determine just how good they are. They look really good at times, and then they go on the national stage and play that Thursday night game, was it last
Yep.
week against Houston,
Houston,
where
yes.
they look so mediocre.
Mhm.
You know, it's like, oh boy, is this the real Philadelphia team, or is it the one that has been trouncing teams for 5-6 straight weeks? And so I think that Jalen Hurts is far and away the MVP of the entire league.
I'd agree right now. Yep.
To this point. The question is, can it continue? And what's going to happen when the Eagles match up with good teams? And the NFL, so much of how you do in the regular season, of course, is based on your division, right? And secondly, is based on, well, who are we scheduled against this year? Where did we finish last year? And so that, it just seems that some of these teams, I was looking at the Falcons schedule, when they played the Thursday night game this week, and it showed their upcoming schedule, and it's like, you got to be kidding me. When do they play somebody who's any good? And it's like, well, they finished in last place last year, so they play a bunch of last place teams. And so by finishing second in your division rather than first, you finished first in your division in the NFC last year, like Dallas did. Well, now all of a sudden, you're playing the big, all the first place teams from the NFC, all the big shots. You get Green Bay, and you get Tampa Bay, and you get the Rams, and meanwhile, Philadelphia's playing the second place teams. And it's, there's a fairly significant drop off. Would you rather be playing, again, this year hasn't necessarily gone according to script, but, would you rather be playing, Green Bay, or would you rather be playing Minnesota? Would you rather be playing Tampa Bay? Would you rather be playing New Orleans? And so it's, you end up getting, 5 or 6 games that are easier than, the teams you're competing against. And in the end, that's going to end up giving you 2 or 3 more wins. That's going to either allow you to catch these teams in the standings that you were behind last year, or secondly, as this happens with so many teams this year, allow you to pass them. So so anyway, that was my long-winded answer to say, I think, easily the Eagles / Jalen Hurts has been the number one story in the NFL this season. I think at the other end of the spectrum, it would be very difficult to necessarily pick out one disappointment, because there have been so many. On top of my head, you would say, well, it has to be Tom Brady. This season has been a disaster for Tom Brady. He really looks like, he should have retired.
Mm-hmm.
But then you think, well, wait a minute, Aaron Rodgers is doing just as poorly, arguably more poorly, and it's even more shocking because, he's younger. He's given no indication that he's close to retiring. Now, granted, they've lost some pieces on offense. Obviously, they lost Devontae Adams, and this is part of their problem. But they got bigger problems than that. So it's like, well, maybe I should just say Brady / Rodgers is the biggest negative story. But then you say, well, wait a minute, the Super Bowl champion from last year, they can't get out of their own way. How can that not be the big story of the year, and how poorly the Rams are? And every week we talk about this, and I guess at some point I'm going to wake up and see that it's just not going to happen. But every week, I keep saying, well, Tampa Bay is going to turn it around. Green Bay is going to turn it around. The Rams are going to turn it around. And, are they really? At this point, it's like, I'm not so sure anymore.
Yeah, didn't you get the feeling that the Bucs beat the Rams last week almost by like default, kind of?
That was just not a good game. It's like, you're kidding me that these were they didn't make the NFC Championship game, Tampa, but these are probably the 2 best teams in the NFC last year, and it's like, wow. No wonder Philadelphia looks so good. No wonder Dallas looks so good. It's like, because it's not because they, and I said this kind of the same thing when I was talking about Buffalo. It's not because, Philadelphia has raised themselves to the level of a 10 and Dallas has raised themselves to the level of a 9. It's that just by being at level 8 this year, you're significantly better, than these teams that were the elite teams last year. And this is why, I think if you're looking forward, I think the door is wide open for the 49ers to win a Super Bowl this year, advance to at least advance to the Super Bowl. And just because these, like I said, these teams at the top, I'm not convinced are all that good. And these teams that you think are supposed to be good just give no indication that they're going to be able to turn it around. And granted, San Francisco was one of these teams as well. They lost at Atlanta, for crying out loud. But getting McCaffrey and getting healthy again has really put them in a position. I know we'll talk more about the 49ers later on, but this game Sunday night, this national showcase game, I think is a real coming out party for the 49ers because they're getting a lot of guys healthy again.
Yeah, it looks like they get 8 players back for that game.
Yeah, and you've got McCaffrey now coming off a bye, and it should be much more suited. Deebo Samuel joins the lineup with him for the first time. It's just, to me, it's just the door has swung wide open for them. To be the team that I've expected Tampa or Green Bay or the Rams to be, and not only have they not given any indication that they are that team, but you look at them and you say, okay, well, where is the point where they're going to do what the 49ers have done? Well, obviously they're not going to bring in a star player because we're past the deadline. And of the 3 teams, you would say, well, Green Bay's got a bunch of injuries, but it's like, even when they're healthy, their receivers aren't very good, and Rodgers is really struggling. So I don't see those teams, being able to do what the 49ers seemingly are on the verge of doing. So that's my so I get there's your positive story for the first half, negative story for the first half, and your one, you didn't ask for it, but you got it. Your one look ahead to the second half.
The 49ers, 12-1 odds to win the Super Bowl right now. I like that price. That's a good price right now for the 49ers.
But it's it's an indication that how wide open things are, and every week, things are changing. And if the 49ers, as I expect, put on this big show Sunday night and blow out the Chargers, you're going to see them at 9-1 next week. I mean, it just because, Dallas is playing Green Bay this week, and there's still people out there who think both of those teams have a chance in the NFC. Well, one of them is going to lose that game, and it's very possible that neither team's going to look good in that game compared to what the 49ers do. And they're going to say, "Well, I don't like the odds of either one of those teams anymore." And soon it's going to come down to, well, who do you like, Philadelphia or San Francisco? And we'll see with Philadelphia. I mean, I think they're very dynamic on offense, and if Hurts continues to play like he has, then they're going to be, they're certainly going to be the team that you have to beat. But I don't know. I'm just not sold on them 100% yet.
Just a quick quiz before we get to the games. What do you think the Green Bay Packers odds to win the Super Bowl are right now?
15-1.
160-1.
Well, I just left off a 0.
Okay, let's get to the games.
Well, yeah. I mean,
that's crazy, though, isn't it? I mean,
right. But you know what? If they beat Dallas this week, all of a sudden it's going to be 25-1 next week. I mean, that's the way it is this year in the NFL. We're all waiting for that one team to, rise from the ashes. And it could still be Tampa Bay, right? It could still be the Rams. It could still be Green Bay. We don't know which one it is. I can see where the odds on those teams are going to be volatile because they're still everybody's given up on Green Bay, but I'm not sure everybody's given up on the Rams and Tampa Bay yet. But we're certainly at the doorstep of that.
So if someone always makes a run this time of the year, someone comes kind of out of nowhere, kind of fluttering around 500, and then they go on their run.
Well, and this year you would think in both conferences, like I said, going in, you'd say, well, Philadelphia and Buffalo at this point are the teams that you have to beat, and rightfully so. But there are so many teams this year that are right around 500. That you're right that it's this team. It's the team that wins 4 in a row or 4 out of the next 5 games that positions themselves ahead of that middle of the pack group, that all of a sudden, okay, this team's going to make the playoffs. They've got momentum. It's kind of what the 49ers did last year when at the middle of the season, they were being counted out and they barely made the playoffs. They'd play all their games on the road. And the next thing you know, they beat Dallas and they beat Green Bay and they, went down to LA and almost won the NFC Championship game. So I definitely think in both conferences that there's a very high potential for a team coming out of there like that's going to challenge and potentially beat the big dog this year.
And injuries, I think, will surely play a part still with much more football left to play. Okay, let's get to the games. Seattle 6-3. They've won 4 in a row, so they're on a streak. I'm not sure the travel itinerary from Seattle to Munich, Germany, how that goes, but it seems like that's going to be a very long flight to me. Tampa Bay, they are 4-5, and if they win, they'll be 500 and on top of that division. After all the mess they've been through, that would be kind of there you go. If they get the win here, maybe Tampa is the team we're talking about making that run. But you said this: the West Coasters, they won't wake up for Denver and Jacksonville on the early morning kickoff on Sunday. Will they wake up for the Buccaneers and Seahawks game?
I think yes. The answer to that is yes, and for one reason, that's not because of Seattle. Everybody still likes, whether you're rooting for them or you're rooting against them. Everybody likes to watch Tom Brady play. Tom Brady is a West Coast guy. That's where he grew up in the San Francisco area. Actually went to Barry Bonds High School. I don't know if you knew that. Brady has a lot of West Coast fans. And like I said, and he's got, people who don't like him, coast to coast. So this is a really good matchup. Anytime the NFL can get a team like Tampa Bay to accept, I don't know that they accept an invitation like this or that they have to do it, but anytime they can schedule them for a special, exhibition type game like this, it's got to be great for their ratings. And so, yes, I think that people will wake up and watch this game on the West Coast, and of course, everybody in Seattle is going to be interested in watching it. But other than that, I think you're going to get, and Seattle's on top of the division with San Francisco and Los Angeles, which are the 2 major television markets in the West. And for a change, the fans of those teams can root for Brady to win, to knock off Seattle and move their teams up. I say be careful what you're wishing for there, because the last thing either one of those teams wants is for Tampa Bay to gain momentum and be the team that's rolling at the end of the year. So speaking for the game itself,
Mm-hmm.
I have no idea. I mean, it's a game where if you base the game on how the season has gone, you would say, well, one team has been an incredible surprise, the other team has been an incredible disappointment. And, you got to ride the momentum of the hot team over the team that you just don't know how badly they've fallen. But I can't do that. I mean, I just don't think Seattle, is that good a team. I don't think. I think they're one of 5 or 6 teams in the NFL who are first or second in their division right now, who I would say there's no way they're going to make the playoffs. And if they don't, it's going to be because they can't compete at this kind of level. When they play the 49ers again, when they play the Rams again, when they play this game against Tampa, they're not going to win these games. They're just not that good. And meantime, Brady, even when the team, we saw this last week, even when the team is not running on all cylinders, he still can find a way to win games that they really have no business winning. And this could very well be one of those games as well. So I think that, I think it's going to be an ugly game, but, enjoyable. Again, like I said, just because Brady's playing, and I would give Tampa a slight edge in this game.
The over-under is 44.5. That seems high to me for this game for sure. I'm concerned about Seattle's just body clock. I mean, this is going to be like a 6:30 in the morning game to them over there in Munich. I think that's just the whole wrench in the turbine there is the fact that this game's in Germany. And I think that's, for whatever reason, I just think that's a better advantage for the Buccaneers coming from the East Coast.
I don't think there's any. Yeah, I don't think there's any doubt about that. It's a very good point. It's just another reason why you wouldn't expect Seattle to win this game. You mentioned the total. When you think of Seattle, you think of this team that's been successful this year because this rejuvenated quarterback has figured out a way to throw the ball deep. So Seattle's got as good a 1-2 receiving combination as there is in the league. But they aren't this 5-yard and curl type of receiving core. They're get 40 yards downfield and I'll throw it as far as I can and you go get it. And fortunately, it's worked for Seattle. These guys are scoring touchdowns. It's driven their scores up because their defense is very average at best. So it just depends on which way you look at this game. If you look at this game from Tampa Bay's point of view, you would say, man, their offense isn't going very good and their defense is still pretty strong. But if you look at it from Seattle's perspective, it's like Seattle doesn't play low-scoring games. They don't know how to do that. And I think that Tampa should be able to, this is why I think that this is a possible, momentum builder for Tampa because, this is what Tom Brady needs. He needs a defense that he can, roll up and down the field against. I can see that. I can see this game going over that total.
Okay. All right. Let's move back to the States. Kansas City, they are a 9.5-point favorite at home against Jacksonville. The over-under is 51.5. Kansas City, they squeak it out against a tough Tennessee team. We were right about that. Too many points to give the Titans last week on behalf of the Chiefs. So the Chiefs, they host the Jaguars. The Jaguars with a nice comeback win against the Raiders. Is 9.5 points too much here in this game?
No. I think Kansas City is going to be able to put up a lot of points in this game. The only concern of mine is going to be Jacksonville is pretty good offensively, and you can get ahead of Jacksonville as we saw last week. You can get ahead of Jacksonville by 17, 20 points, and they get you with the late touchdown or the late couple of touchdowns that are quote unquote meaningless. And next thing you know, you look up and Kansas City's won the game, 28-20. It'll probably be a higher scoring game than that. So I should say more like 34-27 in a game that really wasn't that close. That would be my biggest concern. in this game. I think that, I think Kansas City's going to be able to score in the 30s quite easily, unless the weather is really bad. I think they're going to be able to score into the 30s real easily in this game. And that will, like I said, that will open the door for Jacksonville late in the game to come back, because they do, the quarterback has, I don't know, lived up to expectations yet, because the expectations were so high, but he's certainly trending in that direction. They've got a running back now that scores a lot of touchdowns, and then, has been a big fantasy surprise.
Yeah, ETN's been playing very nice. Yes.
Yeah, I think that Jacksonville has the offensive potential to try to match points with Kansas City. It's not a good idea for any team to do that, but I think Jacksonville will end up having to try to do that. And so, I can see this game that your total you mentioned there is very high, but if Kansas City scores 34 points, then all of a sudden that total's not that high.
Right.
And I think that Kansas City can easily score 4 touchdowns in this game.
Yeah, I could see Mahomes definitely getting some good numbers here. I like that. I like the idea of Kansas City going up big, and then Lawrence getting opportunities, like you said, just to kind of come in late. If you look at Pat Mahomes tomorrow, you really don't get any good payouts until he racks up the yards. But at the 350 yards, he's at plus 290. Can he throw for that much tomorrow? Weather permitting?
I think he could. Yeah. I definitely think he could, because, like I said, I don't see this as a game where Kansas City is going to get ahead, 24-3, and think, well, let's just run the ball, run it out in the second half. Because what will happen is Jacksonville will get the ball and they'll march down the field and they'll score a touchdown. And all of a sudden it's like, okay, Pat, let's get back, warm up that arm. We're gonna need more scoring. And I think that there's going to be a push, to continue to score for Kansas City, for fear that Jacksonville is going to be able to score with them. This could be one of those games where the second half is much higher scoring than the first half, just because Kansas City gets ahead and Jacksonville is forced to, is forced to air it out a little bit more, which leads to mistakes, but also leads to touchdowns.
Mm-hmm.
And I can see the second half. If the total you said was 51, then you're talking about a second half total that's probably 28 or less. I can definitely see a second half in this game where the total, there's more than 28 points scored.
And Trevor Lawrence at 275 yards plus is at plus 178. For him to get to 300 is 3-1, and 325 is paying over 5-1. So juicy if he's just.
Well, I'll tell you something that I would look at with him. It's something that he did very well in college, and he hasn't done really well in the pros, although you're starting to see it, is he's a very good runner.
Yes.
He can be, he doesn't run like Allen because he's not crazy enough to, drop his shoulder down and crash into people. He runs smartly, but he's quick for his size. And, he gets those 10, 15 yards when, out of pass plays where there's nobody open. And when you're behind, like I said, 35-14 at the beginning of the fourth quarter, and you're throwing on every down, and this other team sitting back in a zone defense, and you just look around and it's like, well, they're giving me 10 free yards to run every time that I want it, and I could see him, easily going over 50 yards rushing in this game. So I take a look at his rushing numbers if they're available.
I don't see it on this book, but I'm sure we could find them.
Yeah, I'm gonna take a flyer on on Lawrence's rushing over.
I like that.
Again, not by design,
right,
but by circumstance.
All right, good deal there. All right, so potential points and yardage there in Kansas City and Jacksonville. Okay, let's go to the next game as we scroll down. Okay, Sunday, 1:00. in Nashville, Tennessee Titans. They have the tough loss last week. We mentioned that. 5-3 overall for Tennessee now after dropping that. And they will host 3-5 Denver. Dave, I had someone break it down to me like this, and I kind of agreed. When I kind of sat back and thought about it, let me get your take on this. They said, Steve, if I would have told you that it's going to take 8 weeks maybe for Denver and Russell Wilson to get accustomed to the new coach, kind of figure things out on offense, they might sputter some. If you told me that back in July or August, I could see that. I could buy that argument. And maybe that's what's the case is now. Is there a chance that Denver could be that team that goes on the run? This is a tough matchup in Tennessee, but if they get the win, they'd be 4-5, and maybe that gives them momentum. What do you think of that theory with, it's just going to take some time for Denver to get their act together, and maybe it's week 10 here in the NFL?
Well, I think the biggest problem in Denver this year is we've talked about this before. You bring in a coach who's coached Aaron Rodgers, and Aaron Rodgers plays a certain way. Aaron Rodgers throws the ball as short as anybody in the league. Everything, swings it to the back, 5 yards to the tight end. People think Brady is this dink and dunk guy, but actually Rodgers has, I think, like almost like last in the NFL in yards per throw. But it was very successful. And so they bring in that kind of coach to Denver, and then at the same time they import the greatest, deep ball thrower that we've seen in the NFL in quite some time. It's like these two things don't match. And so what's going to happen? Well, I'll tell you one thing that's not going to happen is Russell Wilson is not going to become Aaron Rodgers. He's 5'8" or whatever he is. He can't throw short passes, over the defensive lineman's head. He has to scramble, create openings for himself, and then throw his deep ball that he did so well in Seattle. Well, that's not the game plan in Denver. And if it were going to take 8 weeks in order for Wilson to figure out the Denver offense, that wasn't going to happen. It was going to be, will it take 8 weeks for Hackett to figure out how to use Wilson better? And I'm not sure that I've seen that. Mm-hmm. And so I don't think Denver's any better off offensively today than they were at the beginning of the season. And they lost their running back. They've traded away their tight end, which I think has been a big thing for them because they had a tight end who could get downfield, which is the kind of guy that Wilson likes to throw to. They have what people consider to be a good collection of receivers, but without really having one dynamic guy. This is the team that needed to acquire Tyreek Hill, because this is what Wilson needs. He needs somebody to just run deep, and then when you get down there, look for the green grass and run to it, and then I'll throw the ball, out to the open spaces, and you'll catch it. We'll have a great season together. But they just don't have that kind of receiver. So I'm not sure at this point that Denver is ready, could possibly be this team that surprises in the second half of the season. This game here, now, they're facing kind of a mirror image team in terms of, not a good offensive team, strong defensive team. I think that Denver defensively, could find a way to hold Henry down. And if you hold him down, you're going to give yourself a chance to beat Tennessee. I think Denver has a chance to win this game, but if they do, it's going to be because the score is, 20 or less, to 20-17 or 17-16 or something. So, I would look for defensive type numbers in this game.
Kicker props.
Well, it's I've gone in that direction a couple of times this year. I've been wrong both times, so I'm shying away from that. but things like I think I would look at Henry under his rushing total. Henry, you got to get pretty good odds that Henry won't score a touchdown, type of thing, which is dangerous because you get the ball down by the goal line, and there's nobody better. But I just don't see there being definitely not more than 5 touchdowns scored in this game, which might mean 3 for Denver, 2 for Tennessee, maybe even less. So I would look at the negatives in this game, the lack of touchdowns, the number of times Wilson gets sacked, these kinds of things. Certainly the under in this game, depending upon how low they put it.
38.5 is the over.
Yeah, see, I mean that's where it should be. That's low. But if you look at the Kansas City game against Tennessee last week, and Kansas City got 5 times the offense Denver had, and that was the final score of that game. That barely made 38. So I can see this game being, and again, if weather's a factor, it's certainly going to be a factor toward helping the under as well. So I'd look at. I think this could be a terrible game to watch if you had the option to watch it. And I just think it's going to be. I don't know. I just don't see Denver turning it around, especially against this opponent.
So on that theory, under 108.5 yards for Derrick Henry, it sounds like that'd be a nice bet.
I was going to say, I wonder, give me his over under on rushing yards, and I was going to guess it was going to be 78.
Yeah, 108
and 108
and a half.
Yeah, I just don't see it, and the so much of this is going to come down to does Tennessee take the ball the first 2 times they have it, march down the field, and go ahead 14-0 or 10-0, and then sit on the ball the rest of the game, in which case you'll reach 100, right? Or is Denver's defense going to come out and establish itself early on? You get a scoreless first quarter, maybe 3-0. You see that Denver's got 8 guys in the box, and that Tennessee's going to have to throw the ball more than they want to throw it, and that's more of what I expect. And if this game is close, they're not going to be able to just run Henry, 6-7 times per possession. They're going to have to try to mix it up, and they're not really good at that. And so, like I said, I would not be surprised if Denver found a way to win this game, a very close game.
Okay, so no fantasy giant numbers here if you're trying to pick any kind of lineup on the weekly basis. Okay, 4:00 p.m. Eastern Standard Time window. Oh, man. I mean, I'm trying to think of the proper adjectives to describe this mess. Indianapolis Colts are at the Las Vegas Raiders.
I know that was the game you were talking about.
Let me ask you this. If Jeff Saturday comes in, just by general perception alone, if Jeff Saturday comes in and the Colts beat the Raiders, could McDaniels really get fired after the weekend?
It would be shocking, but it would probably be warranted. And I wouldn't be surprised if it happened.
Right. I wouldn't be surprised either.
This is a team that appears they have every reason to give up based on how they lost last week. They've been a team that's been tinkering on, all right, you guys need to get it going. We've talked about this a couple of times. We talked about this in the Houston game that they had after their slow start, how they had to win that game, which they did. And then they came back and they lost. And then, okay, like last week, now they have to win this game. And they come out and they threw the ball to Adams every time last week. And he caught like 7 passes in the first quarter. of that game last week.
Mhm.
I mean, they were throwing to him literally every time. They couldn't stop him. They got, way ahead in the game. And then all of a sudden, the other team wised up and like, well, gee, let's start guarding Adams with a couple of guys and make him throw the ball to somebody else, which they couldn't do effectively. Adams got upset. Carr got upset. He's that kind of guy anyway. I just think that they had to come out of that game, and there was a lot of turmoil after that game, a lot of comments, and I fully expected it that this thing is on the verge of blowing up. If they lose this game, it's obviously the season might already be over, but if they lose this game, then the season's definitely over. And then the onus goes on the owner to decide, well, are we just going to waste our time playing these last 7 games, or are we going to get rid of our coach and bring in I'm trying to think of the equivalent of Jeff Saturday. They bring in Howie Long, to be their next coach. That said, I mean, looking at the other side, I have far less of a problem than most people have with the coaching hire.
Oh yeah, that's a great hire. I mean, to be honest.
Well, yeah, I mean,
he's
first off, it's an in-season thing. Right. So you're not going to, you might really like a guy in college football. You might decide, what, next time we hire a coach, we're going to go out there and go get Jim Harbaugh or go get, whomever. But you can't do that in November. And so your options are very limited. That's why you see most of the time they just, the defensive coordinator becomes the head coach, and usually not much changes. In this case, what Indianapolis needs to do is run the ball better. I mean, this is who they are. They're a team that last year became almost like a Tennessee light. Taylor ran the ball 20, 25 times a game. They got their offensive line rolling. They didn't have much of a quarterback, so they just ran it. And they were very successful until the very last game of the season. And I think that, they've got to try to get back to that now. Excuse me. I know that Taylor's not, 100% healthy, but that's got to be the new coach's number one priority is, look, we got to get back to where we were last year. And that means, more of an emphasis on giving the ball to Taylor, but most important, getting the offensive line up to speed. They've had a really good offensive line, and here, is one of their former offensive linemen. I mean, who better to inspire, better offensive line play than one guy who's actually been in the trenches, in recent years. I expect them, if nothing else, to get back to being a really good running team. And if they do, then they can certainly win games like this, because this is as we get farther into the season, they're going to see more and more disinterested teams like the Raiders who have fallen off the map. And if they go in this game and just decide, we're just going to snowplow them, we're just going to run and demoralize them, and which is very possible.
Yeah. And
so I think a big thing is Taylor's health. I don't know.
I've got numbers for him in front of me. I mean, he's paying 3-1 odds to get 100 yards tomorrow.
Well, but that's the thing is
he's going to get the carries.
Is he healthy enough, right, to give him more than 15 carries? Because as much as the Colts would like to win this game, I got to believe that the coach already sees, all right, this guy's the franchise, and why in the world are we going to run him 30 times on his sore hamstring or whatever his injury is, just in order to win my first game? It's like, no, let's run him as much as, is reasonable, but that might only be 15 times.
Mhm.
And in that case, then you got to throw out, well, is he going to run for over 100 yards? Well, not if he only runs 15 times. And will the Colts run for more than 200 yards in this game? I think that I don't care who plays. I think that is a lock. Will they run for 250 in this game? I think that's a possibility. Like I said, I just think one team that's going to be fired up, especially on offense, to win a wrestling match, and I see another team that's has already checked out the prices at Cancun in January, and so I'm not going to be surprised at all if Indianapolis wins this game, and it does so in a way where the Raiders look really bad.
Okay, so Colts rushing props. Keep an eye out for all of those. You probably knew this actually, Dave, about Jeff Saturday. Did you know that Peyton Manning, he's going to be the biggest advocate for that fourth preseason game? Peyton Manning said Jeff Saturday probably never would have had an NFL career if it wasn't for that fourth preseason game that has been eliminated. Did you know that?
No, I did not know that.
Yeah.
I thought you were going to tell me that he was born on Tuesday.
I got the crowd laughter. I'll have to play that button here during the show. Okay, so a couple bogs, mud bog, no mud inside at the stadium in Vegas, obviously, but it could be a ground and pound situation. And
I think so.
There is 40.5, so they're not expecting points in that game.
Yeah, right, and I think that's a good call. Like I said, if the Colts are going to win this game, it's going to be because they've churned the clock and just frustrated the Raiders offense. You see this a lot with Carr. They go 3 and out. He goes to the sidelines. He's upset about a play call.
Mm-hmm.
And if you can then counter that with a nice 10-play, 6-minute drive and let him sit over there and stew, that just, doubles your advantage there. And I think that this, like I said, I think this game has that kind of potential.
Okay. So just looking across the board at all of these NFL games, I don't think I've seen the totals this low in years, like just as an average. We have a lot of 40.5s. We got that 38.5.
Who's on bye this week?
The bye weeks are, let's see here. I had that right in front of me. Of course, I took it down. NFL buys. Week 10 are, let's see, Cincinnati, Chicago, the Giants, and the Texans.
The Bears have a bye this week?
A 4 NFL team scheduled for a bye in week 10. Oh, that's 2021. Okay. So that would be wrong.
Yeah. Okay. The Bears play.
They play the Lions. Yes, you're right. List of the buys. Oh, yeah, there we go. Cincinnati, New England, the Jets, and Baltimore.
Oh, okay. So I was going to say maybe one of the reasons that the totals are so low is a lot of the high-scoring teams aren't playing. But, Cincinnati's, high-scoring team, and Baltimore, I guess you would say, is better than average, but the other two, you wouldn't necessarily. So that, that's out the window. Maybe we just haven't gotten to those games yet. Plus the fact that you just mentioned the Bears and the Lions, that's a game where the total has to be fairly high.
Yeah, where is that real quick? 48.5. That would be one of the highest on the board.
Yeah. All right.
Okay.
So,
all right.
And we're getting to another one coming up where the total is going to be high.
Yeah. Well, we're going to go to another. We don't know what's going to happen this game. We might see a double backup quarterback scenario down here in SoFi Stadium with the Rams and the Cardinals. Kyler Murray's questionable. Stafford's questionable. That elbow obviously has been the issue from the preseason. But he just has the one receiver cup, and if you didn't have him, what would they have really? Cardinals, Rams, we don't know what's going to happen with the quarterbacks. I'm assuming you don't have much of an opinion on this one, do you?
Well, how can you when you don't know who's going to play? I will say this, that I don't think the Rams will drop off a lot in terms of passing success when they go to their backup. I think that Arizona will feel it much more. And this is a game where neither team is going to run the ball effectively. And so you're going to have to throw the ball to be successful in this game. And if Arizona doesn't have their quarterback, then they're going to get trounced in this game. Because, like I said, I think we've got confidence in the Rams guy, and both teams have a nice receiving core, so they'll have the opportunity to throw the ball, but I just don't see if Arizona, like I said, if Murray's out for Arizona, I think that's a killer for them.
And John Walford is the backup for the
Rams. He has some experience. I think he's in I just think he's in a better situation in terms of, well, first off, he's got the top receiver in football there with him. So that's good. He's got Allen Robinson, who we've talked about a lot, who I still think has the potential to do good things. That maybe this is what he needs. Maybe he needs a different guy looking in his direction. I just think the Rams have the potential to. Well, the Rams have no running game, so they've got no choice. But I think I think he has the potential. He could be a surprise if, in terms of numbers, if you find out that he's definitely the guy, because kind of like you've been talking about, you don't necessarily you think, oh boy, 2 backup quarterbacks, this is going to be a real clunker. But like I said, it's not like, well, we got our backup quarterback playing, so let's go with our running game. That's not an option for the Rams. It might be a little bit for the Cardinals, but not even for them. So no matter what, these quarterbacks are going to have to throw the ball. And I just think that's a recipe for disaster for the Cardinals.
Colt McCoy is the quarterback for the Cardinals.
Okay. Well, I mean, there are worse quarterbacks, but
right.
I just think that the potential is there for the Rams guy to surprise, and again, just because he's going to throw the ball 30-35 times, and if he does, he'll have over 200 passing yards, probably 250. It'd just be interesting to see where they put his numbers. If in fact, like I said, they commit to him as the quarterback, and then they put up real numbers on him. Right. I think that they would err on the side of making the numbers too low, and I would look at his numbers to the over.
Okay, all right, interesting. All player props off the board, obviously. With the quarterback situation. Okay, we talked about him earlier. The big game, last game for us. The Sunday night game, it is the 8:15 kickoff, 8:20 kickoff, whatever time they start, Eastern Standard Time. The Chargers, they come in, let's see, 5-3, is that right, for the San Diego Chargers? Yeah, 5-3 for San Diego. Maybe the best thing going for them is their coach hasn't done anything stupid in a few weeks, so that's helped their cause. And the Niners at 4-4, they're getting healthy. They're getting some players back, 8 players back. Good opportunity at home here for the 49ers. They are 7-point favorites, over under 45.5. This is a good Sunday night game. This might be the best game of the day, the Chargers and the 49ers. What's your take on this, Dave?
In terms of entertainment, I would agree with you. I'm not sure that I would agree in terms of competitiveness. I think the Chargers are among the most overrated teams in the league.
Okay.
Right now, they just, they are the equivalent of some of these teams we've talked about in the NFC, of Green Bay, of the Rams, of Tampa Bay. They have not met expectations at all, and there's no reason to believe that that's about to turn around based on the fact that, first off, they have an elite, fantasy MVP candidate running back, but he's not really a running back. You know, he's a guy who catches balls in the flat and in PPR leagues, ching ching, one more point. He just caught a 5-yard pass, and he's great at, normally those are the kinds of teams when they get down by the goal line, they can't score touchdowns because they can't run. No problem. They just swing it to the guy over the middle and he goes in anyway. So they're not a great running team. And, they've got this great quarterback, but, his weapons, you think Green Bay's in bad shape. Keenan Allen's not playing. Their tight end's not playing. They've got, Mike Williams and a bunch of guys who should be in the XFL. I mean, so you've got a great quarterback without his receiving options, and you've got a great running back who doesn't run, and so it's just how does that add up? It's not surprising to me at all that until they get their receiving weapons back, then all of a sudden now you can use Eckler on draw plays and screens and stuff where the other team has to respect your passing game, but that's certainly not the case now. And I think that the Chargers, I think they're going to get blown out in this game. But I just don't think that they haven't had a good season, and there's no reason to believe that this is the week that they're turning it around. I think the line on this game is an indication that I'm not the only excuse me.
Right.
I'm not the only one who feels this way. There's not a 7-point difference between these two teams when everybody's healthy. But the Chargers aren't healthy, and wow, 7-point favorite. You think, well, that's a lot of points for a game like this. But then you look closer at it. Well, you know what? It really isn't, because this, we talked about this before. From the 49ers perspective, this is their coming out game. This is they are what the Chargers hope to be someday in terms of they've gotten healthy for the most part. And so now they got all their offensive weapons for the first time. Of course, they don't have the quarterback at the beginning of the year, but they've got a nice returning quarterback. They've got all their wideouts. They've got Kittle. They've got now McCaffrey. And even Juszczyk with his broken thumb or whatever he's got, is back and playing. So it's like they're ready to fire on all cylinders offensively. On national spotlight game, Shanahan's got to love this against a team that, like I said, is not they've got a good reputation, but they're just not a good team this year. And on the other side of the ball, the 49ers defense, which has been where they've really had a lot of injuries, now all of a sudden they're getting 2 or 3 guys back on defense, and the Chargers are just as banged up on offense. So I don't see the Chargers being able to match points with them. I think this is going to be a blowout. And like I said, I think this is when this game is over. I think the national perspective on the NFC is going to be, wow, the 49ers are right up there now with the Eagles and maybe the Cowboys, if the Cowboys can beat Green Bay, as the top 3 teams. I think this will raise the 49ers out of that middle pack and put them up among the elite teams. And as I said, and if this continues by the end of the year, it will not surprise me at all if they're the favorite going in, even if the Eagles go in at 15-2
with a better record. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, it's like, well, no, I mean, have you seen the 49ers lately? They're really rolling. So I think that this is, I would look at as many 49ers sides on this game that are available.
So if you like the Niners to win it all, grab them now at 12-1.
Yeah, absolutely.
Chris, so can you climb? You can climb the ladder all the way with McCaffrey on his receiving yards. I'm assuming.
Well,
50 plus is 188. 3-1 to get 60 or more.
And here is the only problem that you run into in this game is, too many weapons.
Yes.
It's like, well, how are they going to keep? They got Samuel back. So it's like, well, what is he going to do? Well, he'll probably catch us 6 passes for 60 yards. They'll run him maybe a time or two. Okay, and what's Kittle going to do? Well, he'll catch his 6 passes for 60 yards, maybe a touchdown. All right, well, what's Ayuk going to do? Well, it'd be nice to get him the ball a couple of times downfield. And, and I was like, okay, so we've talked about, already between these 3 guys, close to 200 receiving yards, a couple of receiving TDs. It's like, we haven't even talked about McCaffrey yet. As well, he's there just aren't enough balls if these other 3 guys are catching, a total of, 15, 18, 20 passes. Well, Garoppolo's not going to throw 45 times. And so this probably isn't the week that, you would say McCaffrey's going to catch the ball, 6, 7, 8 times. But it is the week where he could have a big running game, because when the 49ers have their 2 standout wideouts and they've got Kittle, you've got to cover with 5, and now all of a sudden you're running only against 6. You got a better chance to get outside, and which is where McCaffrey's going to do his damage. Where the 49ers run the ball the best. I think that he has the potential to have his best, an unusually high running game for what his 49er career will be probably. And because he hasn't had huge numbers in the running game this year, I wouldn't be surprised if his rushing total is fairly low.
82.5 is his over under, and you get almost 2-to-1 odds if he gets over 100. You get plus 270 on 110, and you get plus 450 on 125 plus for McCaffrey.
Yeah, I mean, you know what? I take a shot on some of those things, because the 49ers are a team that, they have an inordinate number when they're working on all cylinders. They have an inordinate number of long scoring plays, and a lot of these come on, like I've talked about, their sweeps around the end where they've got Kittle and Juszczyk running out there like they're 2 pulling guards. And next thing you know, the guy's broken free and he's down the sideline. He's gone for 70 yards. If McCaffrey breaks one of these 50, 60, 70-yard runs, then all of a sudden, what seemed to be a high number, how's he going to get to 125? Well, he just got halfway there on one run. And I think, and that's what it comes down to. And I think that like I said, this is, I really, perhaps I'm overstating this, but I really see this as an introductory game for for Shanahan to show off his team to the nation. It's like, forget what you've seen the first 9 weeks. That wasn't us. This is us, and we're playing the Chargers, who you think is a good team. So when we do great things about them, you're going to, gush and say, "Oh my God, this 49er thing," So I think the potential is there for fireworks, and so I would, of all the things we've talked about, I feel more confident about that than anything else.
So the collaborative effort all together, the 49ers can win this game by 20 points or more?
I think they can.
Okay. So you get 3-to-1 odds to win by 20.
I think that, again, when we talked about this with the Jacksonville, Kansas City game, that when one team gets ahead of the other by 20, by 24, or by 27 points or whatever, how is the other team going to respond? And a young team like Jacksonville is going to try to respond, but then, okay, we got a pretty good quarterback. We want to build things. We're going to come back and get a couple of late touchdowns on you, and kind of show that have some pride. The Chargers aren't one of those kinds of teams. I think if they fall behind by those kinds of numbers, they're going to start thinking about, what, we need to get our quarterback out of there. We don't need to risk him in a game where we're not going to win.
Right,
we're losing here 31-10,
especially since it's out of the conference game as well, too.
Right, and let's we're and if they had all their receiving weapons, take a shot at it.
Different story. Yeah.
But when you don't have your receiving weapons and you've sacked the quarterback 4 or 5 times already, it's like, you know what, get them out of there, get the backup in there. Who do we play next week? Thus I think that the chances of Jacksonville outscoring Kansas City in the fourth quarter, I think, are really good. The chances of the Chargers outscoring the 49ers in the fourth quarter, I think, are really bad.
All right. Good take there. I feel like Kyle Juszczyk always gets a touchdown in a primetime game, 9-1 odds if you think he gets into the end zone.
Remember, he's got a broken thumb.
Yeah.
Right. It's going to be very difficult for him to catch the ball and probably even run the ball. I'd be surprised. I'd take more of a shot. Who could be a surprise, even a fantasy surprise in this game, is Garoppolo.
Oh, okay.
Because he's, you don't have the fullback down. You're at the 1 yard line or 2 yard line. He's really good at quarterback sneaking. You don't have the fullback there, to hand off to on a surprise play, or B, to lead, your little 5'8" running back into the hole. And I think that Garoppolo could, if you're looking at
plus
for
850 for any time touchdown.
There you go. I think he would be a far better option, to score a touchdown than Juszczyk, and their odds are basically the same. So I take a shot with that.
All right, 49ers all day long, according to Dave Del Grande. I like it too. I like that pick. Okay, all the rest of the games, Dave, anything stick out to you fantasy wise? Anything you got for like a best bet?
Yeah.
What's the highest scoring game? Maybe, I don't know.
Well, the disappointment of the week. First off, I mentioned this last week. We don't need to talk about my fantasy football team, but last week, the week, when we were talking last week,
yes.
So for the week before, I lost a matchup. Literally, now I lost a matchup by 1/10 of a point. Okay,
yep.
And this past week, I'm losing going into Monday night, and I make a miraculous comeback based on Kenyon Drake.
Nice.
And I end up winning by like 2.2 points. I mean, it's been, you think the NFL season's crazy. I don't know if it's just me or what, but this fantasy season has been unbelievable, the amount of tight games. But I've been winning despite having terrible quarterbacks. I started the season with Derek Carr, and he wasn't doing real well. And so then I picked up Goff. Goff got off to a real good start, and then he's been very mediocre or less, since about his first 2 or 3 games. So now I decide, all right, you know what? I'm picking up Fields this week.
Nice.
He's available. He's played Detroit. Okay, now I'm not sold on it necessarily for the rest of the season, but if last week is any indication, and they're just going to turn him loose like that he could really have a monster second half. But unfortunately, too many of the prognosticators or fantasy gurus or whatever you want to call them were on that same bandwagon, and so. And because my team, is one of the higher ranking teams in the league, I don't get one of the first waiver picks. Somebody snatched them before me. Now, not only that, but it's the guy I'm playing against. So double whammy.
That's what happens all the time.
Yes, and so now I have no idea who my quarterback's going to be. You know what? Who it could very well be. Based on what I said earlier, I probably should be jumping at this anyway. It could very well be Garoppolo. But anyway, you were talking about the one other game that I have a particular interest in. It's that game. It's the Bears and the Lions. The Lions have not. They looked at the beginning of the season. Remember that first game against the Eagles, which I think was like 38-35 or something. It was like, this team's got offensive weapons, with Swift in the backfield. And
Brown.
St.
at
Brown,
wide
St.
receiver
Brown,
last season.
right, and
Was.
they upgraded their line, and I think Goff's was a pretty good quarterback. I thought, you know what, this team could be a real surprise offensively this year, and that's why I went out and picked up Goff. I still think they have a kind of potential that Scripps missed most of the season, but is coming back, and I think that he was a first round draft pick in fantasy. Excuse me. I still think that they have the potential to have a real good offensive team. Chicago's pretty good defensively at the same time, but Chicago is a team that, it's a team that all of a sudden, they pick up, right, Claypool, right, from Pittsburgh, which helps their passing game, and now Fields is running the ball. I think that they have the potential to put up a ton of points this week. Unfortunately for my fantasy team, but there's a game where I think you said the total was 48.
48 and a half. Yes.
I want to know what half you're talking about, because that's a game that could really, really explode. Again, it's at Chicago, right? So
Yes.
so the weather is could play a factor,
Right.
But this is a I could easily see Chicago scoring in the 30s in this game, and I can easily see Detroit scoring at least in the 20s. I think this game is going to be a very high scoring game, and of all the games we've talked about, I can recommend as many guys as possible for on both sides of that game toward the positive.
40 degrees with light winds, so that's fine weather by Chicago State in football.
When did they build a dome?
Yeah, yeah. Well, here's the thing: if that's not saying the state of this bizarro NFL world right now, that the Bears and the Lions are going to be the most explosive game, then what a crazy NFL season. Week 10, we have lots more to go, Dave, for sure. I'm sure we will be eyes glued to everything in these games, and we will look forward to talking about the craziness next week for sure. Appreciate you coming on, man.
Okay, anytime.
Have fun in Denver. Okay. Dave Grande with Field Level Media. We will be back after this.
Know your gambling limits. Don't ever bet what you can't cover. Wagering on sports is only fun when you do it the right way. Not every bet will win. When you get on a bad run, know it and avoid trouble. Know your gambling limits.
Control your alcohol. Don't fight. Don't drink and drive. Your one punch could kill someone. It happens. If you're behind the wheel, you may think you are fine, but then the other driver is under the influence of texting, and then you are done. Control your alcohol.
Dependable Solutions can provide all voiceover services for your advanced audio production needs. Think of us as an inexpensive option, no matter what the size of the project is. From one-word cameos to full script productions, contact Dependable Solutions at 757-354-5517.
Hey, does your home have algae or stains on the siding? Is there grime built up on your deck or brick patio? Coastal Pressure Washing Services has a warranty of professional services. From pressure washing to window cleaning to deck and fence staining, as well as dryer vent cleaning, you got it all. Call Coastal Pressure Washing at area code 757-439-9810 or visit our website at coastalpressurewashing.net. Again, call Coastal Pressure Washing at area code 757-439-9810 or visit our website at coastalpressurewashing.net.
Do you want to advertise with Deep End Broadcasting? Send us an email at deepend757@yahoo.com. That's deepend757@yahoo.com. Text the round robin your questions, comments, wagers. Give us a reason. Sleeper fantasy play, your best alternative line, whatever you have. Text the round robin 757-354-5517.
It's a place where we all go to have a view when we feel low. Drink ourselves into a state, drown our sorrow and view our hate. All day beauty in a tight black dress, pulls our beard, cleans our mess. That's to the name of Maggie Bay. When we see her, what do we say? Maggie Bay, bring us another day.
We are back. This is the round robin. We are live from Virginia Beach, Virginia, the coastal waters on the eastern shore of the United States of America. This is the round robin, your first Sunday look at everything on the NFL wagering slate. Looking to invest the minimum for the maximum reward. Nephew Dave has now joined us in studio.
Good morning.
Good stuff from Dave Grande out there in Denver. I love the 49ers play. We're going to have to take a look at that. Dave, actually, that's a good starting point, David. Since we don't want to inundate everybody with tickets, especially like on our regular social medias, maybe even on the Deep End broadcasting page as a whole, we're going to dedicate the Twitter platform completely to our tickets. We'll flash them up here on the show, whatever we may have, if we have them loaded up. Honestly, I did not upload my PDFs, but if you want to go see what I have already for today and Dave's sneaky play, which we will talk about more, then you can go to at deepend757 on Twitter. So that's deep, like DEEP, end, END, 757. And you're there. There you go. And you get the show, all our shows, all our tickets, maybe some breaking tidbits.
Yeah, some updates and stuff like that.
So, yes, David, our social media Twitter expert, has been in charge over there. So he's been on top of it.
Well, I'm new to the Twitter. I don't have a personal one, but so far it's pretty easy to navigate. So we're figuring that out. I will be mostly handling that. So, like Steve says, all of our juicy picks, sneaky picks, just some updates. We might throw out some injury stuff here and there. Maybe some angles. If we're not playing one, we can still certainly find one. Maybe put a little tidbit on the Twitter, and let you guys see it so you can, build some kind of a opinion on whatever. And do whatever you like, but we're just we're here to inform you, and that's what we're going to do.
Yeah,
there.
well, and that's the idea. Is we're going to make you think for yourself a little bit instead of just settling for. It's just a simple philosophy of life. Why are you going to settle for $10 off of $10 when maybe you can seek ultimate satisfaction and grandeur, and you can turn that $10 into $2,000. Maybe even 10,000 if you're really crazy. But, you know, the chances of you being able to do that, you're like, okay, yeah, whatever. Because you get that all the time, David, in this kind of strategy
Right.
of how we bet. The doubters are out there, all the professional gamblers. This doesn't work. Whenever you see anyone talking about round robins online, all you see is negative feedback. I'm here to tell you people that those people just are not doing it correctly. There are ways to do it. You got to think for yourself. And the way to do it is you got to seek the blowouts, or you got to move lines to where you think that they can be achieved for your success. And with all these books, we have the power to do that. If you go ahead and put 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 of those together, then you can knock it out of the park. And the chances of you doing that and getting a nice payout compared to your $10 lottery ticket at the 7-Eleven or your $20 ticket or whatever that it is, then you're going to turn that into some small wins here or there, 20 and the 50. But why not? If you're going to try to be smart and kind of know the sports and have the time to watch it, because you know that's what you want to do, is watch sports and follow it, because that's better and funner to do than politics right now, let's be honest, and everything else going on in the world. I mean, I think that it is sports. So, try to make a living out of it maybe. And we're here to say that there are possibilities. So when you look at our tickets, that's making you think for yourself that you can do some obscure things. It's achievable because we've all done it. Like 3 touchdown scores last Sunday, paying all nice odds. Okay, you can turn that $10 into something really nice on a Sunday.
Steve, I forgot to ask you about that real quick.
Yes.
That was definitely a nice little one for you last week. So congratulations on that. And you haven't said anything about the plane tickets. When are we going to the Turks and Caicos?
We were going to go on holiday, Dave.
Okay.
There's going to be lots of broadcasting on location. How about that in the future? The vision of this company is to live outside the studio. And we have a good setup. We got a good thing here. And we're going to take that on the road. We have lots of stuff we're talking about. Obviously, we got the Christmas party. We're going to broadcast live there.
Very excited for that.
Well, that kind of thing. We get that kind of hammered down. And, we've already broadcasted live from Green Bay, Chicago, Pittsburgh. So what other show has done that in their first season of covering NFL games at 6 a.m. live in the morning on the East Coast every Sunday? Your first look, the round robin. Okay. So let's get to business, David.
All right.
And congrats on your ticket last night. You're
Thank you.
a little hot. Go see all that on Twitter as well. Yeah. So all our Twitter stuff, go to @DeepEnd757. You can catch the broadcast on our Deep Endable Solutions 757 Facebook page. And then our YouTube channel is Deep End 757 Broadcasting. You're finding us across the various streams. Text us anything you want, 757-354-5517. Thanksgiving show programming note before we get to business.
Right.
Thanksgiving show 9 a.m.
9 a.m.
Okay, so 9 a.m. Thanksgiving morning will be our special 3-game show. We'll have some fun with that. Christmas party on the ticker. Check the ticker below for details. But that is December the 18th. And What the Puck is going on tomorrow night.
Yep.
6 o'clock live for the Monday night slate. And we'll get you caught up on everything in the hockey world, which is super crazy.
Yeah, that's man.
So that's rough.
Yeah, only 4 games. I'll just throw that out there for tomorrow. But man, there's injuries, suspensions, just everything that we've been talking about. When we'll go over all that tomorrow. But for a 4-game slate, we can definitely fill that hour because there's definitely stuff to talk about coming out of the NHL, Steve.
Absolutely. In soccer, we got the World Cup starting Friday on the Paycheck, 4 o'clock live. Okay, Dave, let's go down our list. Told everyone who's been tuning into this broadcast earlier that we're going to try to put our homework to work. If that makes sense.
That's right.
So we're going to try to take advantage of our defenses, our stinky list. We'll go through the survivors as well right now. And then after that, we'll do the deep dive. The Ant-Man is creeping around somewhere. He's already been sighted. We will say that. So we'll see when the Ant-Man creeps in here. What's up with that? And we have a 9:30 a.m. game, Tampa Bay and Seattle. So we'll jump on that first. Not too late there. I got the alt line, Tampa. Sorry, people. I'm just not gonna. I'm gonna fade the 10,000 mile plane trip by the Seahawks and just go with the Bucks. I just think that's a strict professional angle, is what I'll say. And if the Buccaneers blow them out, then yeah, I was right. But we'll see what happens. I know Nephew Dave, I think, in his pick, likes Geno for over 1.5 touchdowns.
I'm against you here early to start the morning here, Steve.
Well, we're double against each other because I have Blackburn and you picked the draw.
I have the draw
game on in the studio next door. We'll take a look at that at the break. Okay, NFL stuff. Let's go down our list. Seattle, Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay has every shot in the world to go from stinky to good right now, Dave. They have a good defense. It's a body clock game for me. In fact, if you have Tampa and Survivor, I'm not sure who does. They probably have been used. I'm not sure. What do you see here? Just quickly on any of that.
So I don't know, Steve. I can see what you're saying here about Tampa Bay. But now, we're at the point in the season where we're at. And just look at what Seattle's doing. I know I'll be the first to say that so far I was very wrong about them. I remember, we were one or two shows in, Steve, and I was trashing them pretty hard. Going to be the worst team in the league. They're first in their division, and they are absolutely showing me wrong at this point. So I think we have to start looking at them and having a little bit more respect in that regard, because they are 6-3, and they're actually playing good ball. So I'm not counting them out no more. I'm going to start kind of maybe riding that train, see where it takes me. Could take me nowhere, or it could take me all the way to the promised land. So I don't know. We'll see. I'm against you today, so I'm going to be a Seattle backer.
All right. He can still get his 2 touchdowns, Dave, and the Buccaneers win by multiple scores. All that.
Well, if that's the case, then it's all good.
Yeah, okay. Kansas City and Jacksonville. Jacksonville, when we go through game by game, they're up there in defensive rankings, actually. Though Grande sees a bunch of points in this game. Kansas City on the survivor pick. Could you do that?
Absolutely.
Okay. So you like that at home against Jacksonville. Stinky to good. I guess you put the Jaguars on that list still. You can't knock them off yet. Etienne's playing very well for them. Giants and Texans. Giants survivor pick today.
I think so. If I have them, then I think you take them.
Okay, so the Texans at the Giants, over under 41.5, 5.5 points. The Giants, the favorite there currently. Chicago and the Bears. Yeah, Chicago Bears and the Detroit Lions. Let me make sure my lines are current. I want to definitely update those. Yeah, so the Bears are -3 and -48.5. I haven't seen any movement on any of the lines so far that we have posted on the ticker. So just to let you know on that. No elite defenses here. Obviously, stinky to good. Bears maybe.
Possible.
Lions, they're too deep in the hole, probably. Survivor pick.
No.
If you're desperate.
Well, if you're desperate, I guess you could try and go with the Bears,
Yeah.
but I wouldn't do it.
Okay. Saints and Steelers, that's another non-survivor pick game. I don't see how possibly that is. Steelers have a chance to be improved to a better team. I was thinking about the Saints myself. I've been on just about every Saints game. I don't know if that's something I need to brag about, but I pegged them right in every situation, I think, except for Monday night.
Right.
I was brutally hammered by the Ravens. Not brutally hammered financially, but pick wise. Here you go, David. for the Saints to beat the Ravens last Monday night. That definitely did not happen.
No, not at all. I do think this is a winnable game for Pittsburgh, though.
I think it's a very winnable game, and I wouldn't take it Survivor because I don't trust them. But because in a Survivor, you're typically in a very, very big pool. Okay,
Right.
So I wouldn't trust them in that regard. But on my little round robin 4-teamer, this game is going to draw particular interest from me, and I tried to spread these games out across the board today.
Right.
For sure. I didn't concentrate at 1 o'clock. I tried to do what I thought were the 4 most achievable things considered the circumstances at hand in my mind and my eyeball visual testing. And that's what all of you people should be doing, making your own conclusions on these things. Dolphins, Browns, do you see Survivor pick here, Miami?
I think if you have Miami and you're
I think most people have used them, maybe.
they may have, but if you had another stronger team still sitting in your pocket and you wanted to maybe try and slide by with the Miami team, I think you could if you have them. But
so Cleveland, the Browns line right now 3.5 points. The Dolphins the favorite. It looks like that number has climbed. 49.5 is now the over under. It looks like that has actually gone up from whatever the ticker may say. We can always update that as we go. The Bills and Vikings quarterback questions there for sure. Need to get a good update on Josh Allen, see what's going on there. I have a feeling it will still be a couple of hours maybe before that happens. We'll have to see what the Ant-Man can figure out on that. The Bills, 6.5 point favorite. Man, here's what I like. The over in this game, 44.5. Because Keenum, I think, can move the ball because he has weapons as well. And this is somewhat of a Case Keenum revenge game.
No doubt.
If he is indeed the quarterback, because he used to play for the Vikings. In fact, had that huge comeback win against the Saints, if you remember that, with the pass on the sideline. I think that was to Diggs.
it was.
Interesting. Yeah. So that was to Diggs. And and that was in the NFC Championship, divisional round.
Divisional round, I believe it
or
was.
something. But that was the dramatic last-second play, kind of miraculous. Minnesota didn't have any business winning that game until the very last play. Tennessee and Broncos in the Survivor. Stinky the Good, I proposed that could be the case for Denver to Del Grande. He basically laughed at that off at this point. So Tennessee is going to be a tough opponent at home. I could see in a desperate situation, if the Titans are out there, I would take maybe a stab on them in Survivor. It would be a tough way to lose. You would? Okay. So that's good to know. I think when we get to the stats for that game, there are a lot of under trends when we do our deep dive look here on the next break, once we get to this game.
Right.
Once I'll flash the graphics up for the trends for this game, and we do have all the graphics for the game. Once I flash those up, then you'll see how crazy under this game probably should go. I mean,
Right.
It's crazy, the trends. Put it that way. So that's the last of the 1 o'clocks. Vegas and the Colts. Stinky the Good. We've said that weeks ago that this was the Raiders' chance to go Stinky the Good. They've kind of fluttered. They were on the list. So they're going to the complete stink list. The Colts are on there too. Do you see either of these teams with a chance to rejuvenate their season?
Boy, I don't know. I don't think so. This is not even really a game I like. And when we dive into it, Steve, and unless we find the way I'm feeling about it right now, the only thing that I could possibly think of here at this very second would be an overplay because it's at 41 right now.
And you know what? That's I think it's actually gone up a point. That's one I'll have to take a look at too. Yeah, -4.5 for the Raiders. Over under 41.5.
You got to think the Raiders could get half that with Derek Carr and the offense.
I think there was the one thing I'm worried about this game is that there's a full-on mutiny.
Right.
And you know what I'm saying? Like, I mean, they're just going to Ooh.
I don't like it, but if we're gonna find something, which we will later, it's a right now it's a over or nothing for me, Steve.
I think this game, just out of interest alone of how does the train wreck of the Colts and the Raiders resolve itself, I think we'll automatically get promoted to TV number 2, and TV number 3 will have to be the Cardinals and the Rams, especially if there's 2 backups playing. Now you've been to Colt McCoy. You had him on your team,
Right?
What's your Colt McCoy opinion if he goes for the Cardinals?
I mean, I like him. I think he's a solid backup. That's what he's been.
Mm-hmm.
But he's shown when he gets a chance he can sling it. So, boy, I don't know. I think this is kind of another ugly game. But hey, maybe look at some McCoy props if it come to find out he's gonna go. You might maybe find some value on him.
The Rams do have a very good defense,
right?
So that could be. But yeah, I mean, McCoy, it's not like he doesn't have NFL reps.
No, he's got plenty of them.
And so, I mean, Wofford the quarterback for the Rams. Okay, Cowboys and Packers. I don't know if everyone has the Cowboys in the bank left for Survivor. I know that Green Bay was probably used against New England.
Right.
A lot of people used them that week. You wouldn't use Green Bay as a Survivor today, but would you use Dallas?
If you have them, I think you could. You probably should. When we get down to this game, though, Steve, I think because this is one of them primetime games. I could just have a sneaky feeling. My gut says I want to hammer the side with Dallas, but could this be a trap game? I don't know. So if you have them fantasy or Survivor, go ahead, and then we'll go into that sneaky feeling when we get there.
49ers and Chargers. Now, if you listen to Dave Grande, you would think the 49ers would be a good Survivor pick if you have them. And I think that's actually true. I would use them on Survivor. I think they can go on a run. I think the 49ers I agree with Dave Grande. I've kind of been back in the 49ers most of the season myself anyway. And they could actually really bust out tonight against Los Angeles. I don't know. Do you see the same thing?
Possibly. I'm hoping not, though, Steve, for personal reasons.
So Herbert's your fantasy quarterback?
Well, I do have him as a fantasy quarterback. But right now it's the Niners and my Skins fighting it out for that last wild card spot. Even though we have a losing record, we're fighting it out for spot number 7. So
that's interesting. So that's the number one shocking stat of the day to me is that the Commanders and the
are still fighting.
Are right there with the 49ers neck and neck for a wild card spot. The Niners a good shot to start to overtake that division today if Tampa Bay can beat Seattle. Philadelphia and the Commanders. Obviously, you are not a Eagles fan, so you would not use them as Survivor yourself. But could you blame anyone? I mean, I'm assuming most everyone has used Philadelphia
probably
and Survivor, so I don't even think that's an option for the most part.
But if you have them, you definitely could.
I would be on the lookout for Washington. They lost last week.
That was oh man, don't even get me started.
But can they be?
It's a divisional game. Anything can happen in a divisional game. That's all I'm saying.
All right, so we do this every week, Dave. This is the last game. Go ahead and before we recap Survivor, and use the knowledge of good defenses. The 49ers, they have the good defense. All these graphics that we'll throw up when we go game by game, we'll have the rankings. But the Rams are up there, defense.
Definitely.
Just a quick sub note on all this as I scroll through. I saw it all. Titans and Broncos, both really good defenses.
Dallas defense, don't forget about that one.
The Bills are up there. Yep. The Cowboys, really, really good defense. None of these are superstar 85 Bears defenses, but all pretty decent. Buccaneers, questionable. Jaguars, they're up there, top 13 defense anyway. So I think that's the list for the most part. of all the good defenses.
Top tier, anyway.
and Survivor picks, finals. We'll do that. All right, Commanders soapbox. What's the state of the union for your boys?
Well, I think, the Eagles are obviously the team to beat right now, looking really good. We'll see. There's talk about, Carson Wentz has to play. I think RG3 said that on some broadcast or whatever he was doing, and I think he should just shut the hell up. I know Carson Wentz had some okay stats when he was in, but I think Heineke, while he's not the man of the future, he is the man of the hour. He just brings a different spark to the offense. So I don't think you can count him out against Philly. I think we probably all expect Philly to win. But you know what? We would be really talking a different way had the Skins won last week, which they were very close to doing. In my opinion, a couple questionable calls at the end of that game. You can ask Uncle Steve. I was in the studio in the lounge that day, and I was very, very unhappy. So we'll see what happens. Of course, obviously, I want them to win, Steve, but they're going up against an Eagles team that's just top tier right now, and I believe it's in Philly, so it's a tough task. It's certainly, it's doable, but it's going to be a tough one. And if they're going to keep up with the 49ers, then it's a game they're going to have. So they're going to have to find some way to dig deep. But I think we're feeling mostly okay with the way things are going. Danny Boy's going to sell, hopefully. And then we can get this dark cloud of crap away from us and try and get back to, being the franchise we once were. So we'll see what happens. Real tough game. It's doable. They're plus 400 on the money line. So if you even have a thought of them on the upset, you're already looking at good value money line alone. So we'll see what happens. We're feeling mostly all right, Steve, but it's a tough task.
All right, so there's your, once a week Washington Commanders full update given by Nephew Dave, his little 3-minute take on the state of the franchise and what other national worldly program offers that. So you have that, right? All right, so let's get to Survivor Pick recap. I think if you have to use a Survivor pick today, then I'm going to take a shot I would take the 49ers if you have them.
Gonna go Niners?
Yep.
I would go Giants, Steve, if I have them.
Okay, so there's some Survivor picks. We will go ahead and got these hot buttons working here, Nephew Dave.
Ooh,
see,
right.
Yeah. So they go on a slight delay.
Gotcha.
So I need to get that down in the upgrade system of how my brain operates. Slight 5-second delay on any button. So once you hit the button, there's the quicker ones, like the laughs,
Right.
come like a smidge late. A little bit longer clips take a good 4 seconds. So keep that in mind in your producer learning. We'll be back after this.
just another day. It ain't another day to take away our troubles out.
It is estimated that 23% of car accidents each year involve a cell phone. That's 1.3 million accidents a year. Reaching for your phone, you are 4 times more likely to crash. Dialing on your phone, 2.8 times more likely to crash. And texting on your phone, you are 23 times more likely to crash. Attentive drivers are safe drivers.
Know your gambling limits. Don't ever bet what you can't cover. Wagering on sports is only fun when you do it the right way. Not every bet will win. When you get on a bad run, know it and avoid trouble. Know your gambling limits.
Hey, does your home have algae or stains on the siding? Is there grime built up on your deck or brick patio? Coastal Pressure Washing Services has a warranty of professional services. From pressure washing to window cleaning to deck and fence staining, as well as dryer vent cleaning, you got it all. Call Coastal Pressure Washing at area code 757-439-9810 or visit our website at coastalpressurewashing.net. Again, call Coastal Pressure Washing at area code 757-439-9810 or visit our website at coastalpressurewashing.net.
This is the Deep End Broadcasting Network.
text the round robin your questions, comments, wagers. Give us a reason. Sleeper fantasy play, your best alternative line, whatever you have. Text the round robin 757-354-5517.
Control your alcohol. Don't fight. Don't drink and drive. Your one punch could kill someone. It happens. If you're behind the wheel, you may think you are fine, but then the other driver is under the influence of texting, and then you are done. Control your alcohol.
Tired of your swimming pool's diatomaceous earth pool filter? The constant cleaning, green pool, cloudy water? I thought this was supposed to be clean. Trust your swimming pool's water quality with a custom sand filter install. A clean, easy solution for your swimming pool operations. Contact Dependable Solutions at 757-354-5517. This is the Round Robin, broadcasting live from Virginia Beach, Virginia. Your Sunday first look at everything on the NFL wagering slate and menu. And this is it. This is the deep dive, the moment we've all been waiting for.
Here it comes.
That will be reality, David, when we hit the road in our various spots. Rumors of Capitals and Hurricanes on location in February for the Winter Classic game down there in Raleigh. How about that?
Yeah, watch out for that. Still in the works, but as that time draws near and we get something possibly a little more concrete.
Post a Super Bowl road trip.
Right. If that happens, Steve, I think you can agree, that will be a must-see show coming from us. You'll definitely want to tune into that. That will be a fun one.
I'm going to ask my VIP at my casino if she can provide a line for if there will be any kind of delay for ice melt. And like they did in the Colorado, was it Colorado and Detroit Red Wings? And they played somewhere on some lake. I can't, not Salt Lake City, but it was Lake, I don't know, one of those nice, really pretty lakes, Lake Tahoe or something like that.
Right.
Is that where it was?
I'd have to double check on that.
Yeah. So, but the ice melted and they had to wait till like midnight to play.
Yeah.
So a chance there, we'll see. But road trip maybe to Raleigh. So this is the round robin. We're going to go through all the games one by one. Let's go ahead and remind me to flip all these graphics, David, as we get to them.
All right.
I'm going to have to actually upload a few of these as we go along as well. But here we go. Look at this. First game, Seattle Seahawks. They are at the Tampa Bay Buccaneers officially as a road team. But this is in Munich, Germany. And this is the 9:30 Eastern Standard Time game. So the quick notes on this, overall defenses, the Seahawks 26th, Buccaneers are 11th. The Seahawks are 11th in yardage gained, and they are on a 5-1 ATS spread run. The Bucs 0-6-1 against the spread themselves lately. So this is a 9:30 game, a good chance for Brady. And when it's all said and done, if the Buccaneers can get a win today, then they are in first place in that division, which they would take that at this point in time all day long if you told them that they were going to have the problems that they have had. So this is the 9:30 game. This is simple for me. This is a tough call as far as travel goes for Seattle. I mean, just to be able to not have your body just reacting fully functional. I mean, these are professional athletes. They do travel all the time. But at what point does 10,000 miles make you sluggish when you're playing a game at what seems like 6 a.m. local time in your own mind, 6:30 a.m. local time? I mean, you're getting up well before that as well. I mean, you're literally getting up at like what would be 4 a.m. for you. And maybe that's what some of these guys do to go work out. I've been on that regiment myself. But this is just a long trip for Seattle. I'm going to bang the Bucs home officially, which is on our Twitter, my ticket, the Buccaneers, and I'm going to lay all the way up to 16.5 points. I'm going to back it, though, with a smaller minus 13.5. But I think the Buccaneers have a good shot to prove themselves that they can actually still be a good team. If they can beat a good team like Seattle, and like I said, it's just the travel is what concerns me. I'm going to take a shot. I'm going to take a shot with the Bucs for that reason. And why not to win just by a score or two extra by the spread? All right. So, David, your thoughts. You like Geno Smith. And I've been a Geno Smith backer myself, but you like him at over 1.5 for 1 touchdown. You go ahead and plead your case for the Seahawks, and if go anti-Buccaneers too, if you want. And you've given me the ultimate boo button before on the Buccaneers as well. So let's keep that in mind.
So I don't know, Steve. I definitely get what you're saying about the travel. And I'll ask you this before I get into that pick real quick. Is it possible that they may have gotten there maybe a day or two earlier so that travel bug maybe kind of wears off and they can get into more of a playing shape if they get there, maybe a day or two earlier than they would to kind of, knock that off, if that makes any sense.
So the Seahawks, yeah, I'm pretty sure that they so they didn't have a bye week, which you would neither did Tampa, but Tampa had 10 days off,
right?
Because they played that Thursday night game. Seattle didn't have that luxury. So when did they realistically get there? I mean, Monday. Did they go Tuesday? I'm not exactly sure,
right?
But I would think this is the time. I think for the first few days you're fine, and then it starts to hit you for a couple days. I think in my travels that I've done at 2 different time zones, it seemed like I was fine at first, but then on a third day, I'm like, what the hell time is it, dude?
Right,
I literally had no clue, but that's just me too. And we were a million bourbons deep the whole time. Go ahead, David. Give your talk on Geno.
All right. So, yeah, I took today in an official pick for me. I have 2 of them coming out of this game. So I did take Geno Smith at over 1.5 passing touchdowns. I looked at, I did a little homework. He had 2 last week. And this offense seems to be, scoring points. So I like my chances for him to get 2 more against a Buccaneers team that hasn't wowed me at all so far this season. They got a win last week, but I'm not impressed by him, Steve. I'm really not. So I'm taking the value all over the Seahawks. I need Geno to get his, which is definitely not impossible. And then I took him in a different pick. So this is an official as well. I took the money line at plus 120. That's lower value, Steve, but it is paired with a couple other things. One being current out there in the lounge.
Okay, cool. Good to know. And you know what we have? From the greater Pittsburgh area is the Ant-Man.
Why couldn't you have just said Anthony from next door?
Got to have the dramatics.
Trust me, I know.
So Anthony is in Control Central. He is in front of all the TVs, and he's going to be able to keep us up to date on everything. And Anthony, we are on game number 1, Seattle and Tampa Bay. Long travel trip for the Seahawks, Tampa Bay. I'm sure you have plenty to say about this all across the board. But what kind of injuries? I know we have good weather there. I think that's even inside or one of those kind of like 3/4 dome type of areas, whatever. Kind of like
it looks outside. I mean, you couldn't tell if they were in Germany or London. Honestly,
right.
It looked like they probably got rain an hour before. It doesn't look any different. But I agree with the travel with Seattle. But I mean, it's not like it's just Seattle. I mean, Tampa's travel too. Obviously, it's a 3-hour difference. But I understand that. What is that? What's that line? 1.5? Is Seattle the favorite?
Tampa Bay is -2.5 and 45.5.
Okay.
So that line.
I understand. I mean, I understand it. I mean, it's still Seattle, but it's still Tom Brady. When I look back and I look, the Buccaneers obviously won last week, but it's not because Tampa was better. The Rams just sucked more.
Oh, yeah, we already talked about that. That was a win by default, is what we called it.
But I could see, I could see it. I could see it getting done. I can see Tampa winning this game. I could also see Seattle winning this game. I'm probably going to stay away from this. Maybe I'll throw in maybe a Lockett touchdown or a Mike Evans touchdown.
Right.
There was actually a rumor that Leonard Fournette wasn't going to be able to come and travel with the team because he didn't have a passport. But apparently, he got the passport 4 hours before they boarded the bus to the airport.
Some fantasy owners are dumping Leonard Fournette. Are you on that train? If he was on your team,
I'm on the pick up Rachaad White train. I picked him up a few weeks ago. He is clearly unhappy in Tampa. They're incorporating Rachaad White more into the game. Now, neither of them are doing good, but neither is the team. Mm-hmm. I mean, if I'm a Fournette owner, I'm not dropping him unless there's.
Do you like
unless you have?
Do you like Rachaad White at +220 for a touchdown today?
I'll sprinkle him in for sure.
Okay.
I'm okay with that. I mean, it's going to be a split backfield. Fournette's probably going to get the start.
He's plus 130 anytime touchdown is Fournette. Mike Evans +135. DK is +170. Godwin is 2-1 odds. I mean, when's he going to get involved? Disley +550. Scotty Miller +550. Let's see. Julio Jones +700. Marquise Goodwin +700. Noah Fant +500. Man, there's a lot of just known names across the board. It's funny to see Julio Jones all the way down at the 17th pick as a touchdown scorer in a football game. That's just crazy.
Wow.
Do you see this as could you see if you wanted to get same game parlayed, Anthony, and then take some of these players and over props or touchdowns just because of the talent names alone that we spoke of? Is that something you would maybe do for fun? Or would you just pass this altogether?
I mean, I'd pass it, but since there's nothing else to watch around 9:30 today, I might as well throw something on it just to watch.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
It's still the Seahawks, it's still the Buccaneers, but I mean, yeah, I mean, I might sprinkle a Tyler Lockett or Rachaad White, maybe a Mike Evans. I don't know. What's the over-under? You said 45, so it's going to be around there. So you're expecting a couple touchdowns from each team. So I might throw two people on each team, maybe a Lockett and a Metcalf. I know Kenneth Walker's been on an absolute demolition the past couple weeks, but maybe I'll throw in a Godwin and Evans, a Lockett and a Metcalf.
Okay.
Or sprinkle something in with Rachaad White or Walker.
All right. Nephew Dave's on over. Gino 1.5 touchdown passes, and I'm going to lay the hammer with the Buccaneers on the alt line. All right. So next game, Kansas City and Jacksonville. This is a little late, but I need to get the practice. Kansas City and Jacksonville. Right now, the line is -9.5, and rising total now is under 50.5. Del Grande earlier loves the over in this game. He loves Patrick Mahomes props. The Chiefs get their points all day. The back door is open for Jacksonville to move the ball with their, they have a nice player in Travis Etienne. So the back door could be open for the Jaguars, and maybe they still get their points as well. So a potential for a super over here. If you do like a super over play, then to get to 60 points would be something like plus 285. So they climb the board after that. I think we lost the man. I could hear that drop off. We'll get him back in a second.
All
right. So I could see the over-under climbing up above 50.5. I think there's better plays on the board, but the weather conditions are going to be fine for Kansas City. Nephew Dave, Kansas City and Jacksonville. Go ahead and do your take on this.
All right. So, yeah, I definitely could see points, Steve. I haven't really looked at much else. I'm going through the board here. I think we could definitely get some touchdown scores in there. But, Steve, yet again, here I come with it. I have for you another weekly special.
What do you got?
Here it comes. Patrick Mahomes, 300-plus passing yards. Travis Etienne, 1 rushing touchdown. 1+. So 1, 2, 3, you do the math. If he punches it in, it counts. Right. It's good. Not super high value, but plus 310 for those two things to happen. I'm gonna look at it some more before this game starts, but right now I'm actually kind of liking that. I'm gonna see what you two think, and that might be an official for me.
Anthony, what do you think about that? Mahomes 300 plus pass yards and ETN anytime touchdown score.
Hey, can I have a half of this donut that's in the kitchen?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
Your other job, I was going to tell you before we dropped you on the line, is you need to play scorekeeper for the Blackburn-Burnley game that's going on TV number 3. That should be easy to figure out considering TVs. TV 1 would be the big TV. TV 2 would be the TV that's off. Then there's TV 3. Then TV 4. Oh, actually, little guy would be. See, even though he's in the middle, he's like TV 5.
Yeah. This donut's fantastic, by the way.
You can thank Nephew David for that. Crush it all if you need to, my friend.
I appreciate it.
Jacksonville Chiefs. Do you love Mahomes?
I hope so. Chiefs are my survivor pick this week. And unfortunately, I've been hit with some buys and some injuries on my fantasy team. So I have no choice but to start MVS. So I'm invested in him today. But Mecole Hardman's not playing. Other than that, everyone else is healthy. This could be a game. I mean, this is being played in Kansas City. Jacksonville, they won last week, right? They beat the Raiders.
Yep, on the comeback.
So Jacksonville's no pushover. I'm nervous about the 9.5 line, but I could see this being a fireworks show. I could see Mahomes just airing it out. Juju's caught fire. Kelsey's obviously amazing no matter what. I'm hoping for the MVS connection. He's had him in spurts. He's actually scored a few times this year, but they've both been called back. I know they also just grabbed Kadarius Toney from the Giants, so he's playing. I think he only played 7 snaps last week, so he's going to be incorporated. The running backs are a mess. Flip a coin. I have no idea. It was last week. Last week it was McKinnon. 2 weeks ago it was Clyde. 3 weeks ago it was Pacheco. Flip a coin.
I'm going to take a shot on Hilaire. I'm a player prop. Something tells me it's him today.
Yeah, it's nothing but a 3-headed coin.
Okay, so the Chiefs 19th overall in defense, Jaguars 13th overall. The Chiefs have lost the last 5 against the spread at home, but they are on an 11-5 overrun. Jacksonville is on a 4-1 under run. Let's see. but they have 5 straight overs on the road, if that makes sense. And the Chiefs are 11-2 straight up at home. That bodes well for your survivor thinking in their last 13 games at Arrowhead. So real quick on the touchdown props. I like the alternate over. So if there's going to be a chance for a 2-touchdown score, then it's going to be in this game if there's going to be multiple scores. And I'm going to, because of the receiver questions, like Anthony said, and it's been a running back by committee, then I'm going to take a shot with Edwards-Helaire to get 2 touchdowns. And he's paying 10-1, which I think is a nice price on that today. I could see Travis Etienne at plus 490, but I'd want that to pay a little bit more, to be honest. And I think if we're going to take the touchdown, if we're going to go for the 2 touchdown scores again today, you got to look for the games with the highest points. And I'm just going to take a shot with Edwards-Helaire. He can catch the ball out of the backfield. That might be what the Chiefs need to elude a decent Jaguars defense. So I'm going to take a shot with that. Any notable injuries, Anthony, that we need to be aware of that you know of?
No injury. Now, other than Hardman being out for the Chiefs, I'm actually looking up the Jaguars roster right now. I don't think we talked about this. You know that Calvin Ridley's on Jacksonville, right?
Yes. Ridley, suspended player.
I'm looking at it and I'm just laughing.
He bet on Jacksonville. It's funny. The team that he bet on is the team that picked him up or traded for him, which is kind of cool.
Oh, yeah. I wouldn't be surprised if Calvin Ridley did it himself. Username not Calvin Ridley 18. Oh, brother.
All right, Nephew Dave. Any last take on this game?
You know what? I'm gonna go ahead and do it. I kind of like it. An official pick. Taking the weekly special.
Okay. So that's ETN for 1 touchdown and Mahomes for 300 pass yards.
Yep.
At 3-1 odds, correct?
Yep.
All right. Let's lock that in. If I'm going to play around with this game, which I'm not sure I am, besides the Edwards-Helaire prop, maybe I'll play the alternate over. Just by trend alone, with all the nicer weather than expected, than maybe people think, it's not that bad anywhere out there. I think Anthony can confirm that as well. I mean, it's literally 40 and 10-mile-per-hour winds, basically anywhere you look. Beautiful day in Miami. So points achievable in Kansas City for me. Anthony, right? Just weather across the board. Again, it looks pretty well.
Weather's fine. It might get a little gusty up in Pittsburgh and Buffalo, but that's it. It's just going to be cold. It's going to be cold, like I said, a little windy, but it's not going to look like it did on Thursday night in Carolina. And that wasn't even that bad.
Right. All right.
I mean, I'm looking outside. Right now, and it's just kind of gloomy.
We have the worst of it at the studio.
Right.
This is all the schmegma of whatever storms that swept the USA, basically coming through down here.
Right.
In Virginia.
Yeah.
And tailing off.
The only big weather is not just like I said, a little bit of slight wind. It's going to be cold. It might snow in Buffalo. I was talking with my parents this morning. There were some flurries this morning, and they're about 30 miles north of Pittsburgh. But the snow's not going to affect them.
No, that's gonna be fun. That's gonna be a good atmosphere up there for the Bills and the Vikings. Okay, next game on the list: Houston Texans at New York Giants, MetLife Stadium, 1:00. The Texans' overall defense is 15th. The Giants is 8th. The Giants are on a 4-1 ATS run. They have 7 of their 8 last games at home have gone under. All right, the Texans are on an 8-3 under run on the road. All right, this is just the 6th ever meeting between the Giants and the Texans, with the Giants leading that series lead 4-1. All right, if I'm going to look for any angle myself in this game, I'm going to buck the trends and nice weather. I'm just going to take a weird shot that these two teams can go over 41.5 points. And I think what I'm going to do is I'll blanket these nicer weather situations with these low overs, and I'm going to bump all these guys up. these over-unders are the lowest we've seen in years on the average. This is like kind of old schoolish. I talked about that earlier in the first segment. We're coming off many years of over-unders being jacked mid-40s and higher, well into the 50s. They have all come down now. And even before this morning, before that, I think Chiefs game trickled above 50 points. They were sitting at 49.5. So unders across the board is warranted. I don't know. I'm just not going to bite it. This could just be an over day. And I think it's worth a shot with a dart just to stretch some of these lower over-unders up. So if I'm going to look at alternate total of, if you look at Giants, Texas, it screams under, doesn't it?
It really does.
It really just wants
really,
to slap
really
you in
does.
the face. So this could be the stupidest philosophy in the universe for sure. But if you're going to throw a dart to get a good payday, because that's what you got to do sometimes on the round robins, and you don't feel like you can play a side, maybe look at the totals. To get just the 53 points combined, you're getting at plus 360. And if both of these teams can get the 55 points somehow, so 31-28 gets you there easily, plus 500. I don't know, Anthony. This could be a slugfest for sure. I'm going to take a slight dart that there's actually points in this game, probably, and I'll probably regret it later. But what do you think?
There are only 2 times where I bet the under. Unfortunately, I used to have only one reason. After the past month, I have 2.
Okay.
Here's when I bet an under. Reason number 1, when I don't watch it. And reason number 2 of why I don't bet the under is when I'm watching Green Bay. Because they stink. We'll get to that game. I don't even want to talk about that. We're on the Giants.
So, we have plenty of time before we get to the Green Bay game. You were going to get your soapbox for sure, Anthony. I was going to let you have your 3 minutes.
No, I had it last week, and I hope no one listened to me last week because I said Rodgers was going to throw 3-4 touchdowns. He threw more interceptions than touchdowns. All I know is with this Giants game, it's like a big, healthy form of stink. Even though the Giants are good and the Texans are horrible, I feel like they're both going to equal out to each other and try to outstink them. Now, Houston is horrifying at run defense. This should be a big Barkley game. Keyword, should be a big Barkley game. And that I have him on my fantasy team, so we'll see how that goes.
Okay.
So Brandon Cooks is expected to play. Nico Collins is still questionable. His status is still up in the air. Neither of those guys suited up last week, and I know that Philly still beat them by about 12 or 13, but they gave them a good run. Houston is a very, very, very good, crappy team.
Yeah.
I don't know how they do it. I have no stats to back this up. Somehow Houston is a very, very good team, but they still stink.
They work hard.
Yeah, that's what the effort is there.
They try, and they're just not good enough, but they try.
Right.
So they give you an honest effort at least. They don't roll over like some of these teams. That's going to be something to look at down the stretch. What teams are just going to roll over here? Some of these teams could be the victim of that today.
Yeah.
Like teams like the Raiders for sure, the Colts, stuff like that. But, if you lose a bunch of games too, you still get demoralized. I don't know. I see a good effort here by both sides. Plus 420 for Barkley, if you think he can score twice. Plus 600 for Dameon Pierce, if you think he can score twice. I want to look at the passing props by the quarterbacks because I have a feeling alternate passing yards are going to pay off pretty good for both of these guys. And for Daniel Jones to get 250 plus yards today is plus 490. Davis Mills to get 250 plus is plus 280. And Mills 275 plus is plus 490. If you think Davis Mills can get to 300, that's plus 880. And Daniel Jones to get 275 plus is a plus 880. I'm going to find myself probably with a Daniel Jones over passing yardage prop and kind of hope for the best. Again, I might be slapping myself later. But Nephew Dave, what do you think?
All right, Steve. So here's how I'm going on this game. I'm changing it up a little bit this morning, as you could see with some of my earlier picks, and even putting that soccer game in one, which I don't usually do because I don't know enough about it. So I was kind of following your lead there, Steve. But point being, I'm kind of changing it up today. So I'm gonna go with the money line total. So I'm going to take the Giants at that under 41.5. That's going to pay out plus 170. Besides maybe some props, though, Steve, as I was looking into it, as you guys give your takes, to try and find something that I really feel, like you always say, the best possibility that you feel is achievable. So I like this one. I like the Giants defense. It's like we just said, Steve, the Houston Texans. I agree a lot with the Ant-Man as well. A really good, crappy team. They just don't have the personnel to hang in with some of these top dogs. They give you the best they have, their effort. So they definitely get an A for that, but it's just I don't think the talent and the key personnel that you need to be successful is there. So I'm going Giants money line under 41.5. That is added to that ticket with the weekly special.
Okay. All right. So you like the under. I like a shot maybe at the alternate over. Anthony, any fantasy angles for you besides Barkley?
What? I look at this game that I look at like a Monday night game or Thursday night game. You kind of want to. Not only do you not want to watch it, you kind of feel like you're forced to watch it. If I have any kind of angle, I don't. I do like the Daniel Jones and Davis Mills 250 plus. Just them alone, $10 pays 180. I mean, I'm not saying it's going to happen. So, like I said, when I do these Monday nights, Thursday nights, the stinky games, sometimes I like to have two angles. One, the game's going to be a complete dumpster fire, or two, this could be the greatest game we've ever watched.
Well, so there's a parlay popcorn opportunity on those passing yards with those payouts. To be honest, you could build those all the way up the line.
That's happened before. I mean, heck, I might show you the screenshot later.
Oh,
I didn't win. So there's nothing to brag about.
I have plenty of even backup quarterback scenarios. I think it was the Seahawks and the Chiefs one year. It was both the backups, and the game was 45-42. You know.
Well, when we get to that Arizona Rams game, we're going to have plenty to talk about. But my only point with this is sometimes you just either have to go completely overboard with one and completely underboard, if that even makes sense. Because so like the Carolina game on Thursday, I bet 9 different unders. The only person who screwed me was Deontay Foreman, who went over.
Yeah, he crushed it. Yeah, me too.
But it was $10 to pay 9 something, almost 1,000. I was okay with it. I was pissed, of course, because when I saw him break that long one. But that's kind of what you have to do. Can't predict everything, but if you go overboard with one, heck, if you think it's going to be a game of nothing but stink, bet the under. Bet everyone under. Who cares?
Right. Okay.
Move on. We spent too much time with this game. Move on.
Here's the old generation of stink trying to be the new generation of stink to good. The Lions at the Bears, 1:00. Bears -3 over under 48.5. I could see the super over scenario in this game, but I'm reluctant because it's the Lions and the Bears at the end of the day. I'll just say that there's games we all pass on. I pass on the Lions and the Bears. I think there's a better over opportunity for sure than this one. Let's stick with you, Anthony. Lions, Bears. What do you think today? You like Fields as a quarterback? You like that offense the Bears are running? Give us your full update.
We're watching this game, by the way. We're watching this Bears game because Justin Fields is what Lamar Jackson was a couple years ago when he won MVP. Not saying he's going to win MVP, but he's on a stretch right now where he's the most entertaining NFL player on the field. He's incredible. Hold on, what is it? What did he do? Let's see, 120. He only had 123 yards passing. Take a wild guess how many rushing yards he had last week.
160, 180, right? Something crazy like that.
Well, I'll give you credit. You were in the middle. 178.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, somewhere up there. Yeah.
Now, defenses are going to pick up to this, but they're at home.
And
It's
the Lions
cold.
defense.
Exactly.
It's the Lions. So I'm gonna run it. I'm gonna run it with them one more week. I'm okay with this. I'm actually gonna, because look, if they're in the red zone. God, I'm stuttering everywhere. But if they're in the red zone, it's not going to be David Montgomery. It's not going to be Khalil Herbert. Justin Fields is going to be running that ball.
2 touchdowns for
Now
Justin Fields is 8-1 today. I like that.
His odds they're going up.
I took a shot with DeAndre Swift at 9-1 with 2 touchdowns today. So he's on my
I'm
player
still
too.
nervous about. Yeah, I'm still nervous about Swift. I still think it's going to be a 50-50 split.
Okay.
But it's, like I said, I mean, it's still Chicago. It's still Detroit. For all we know, this could be a game where it's 10-9. But if it is what we hope that it will be, Justin Fields does what he did last week. And Detroit's firing on all cylinders.
You're making me want to build another ticket. So if there are a lot of points scored, I'm going to take a shot with Swift anyway. He's shown he can get it into the end zone twice already.
He can.
David,
Yep.
Your take?
So I'm looking at some other stuff. Might play something here in a little bit, but I'm gonna go and just go ahead with what I took this morning. I'm taking a shot with Justin Fields over 1.5 passing touchdowns. I just looked; it's at plus 180. I got it earlier at plus 190. I figure why not? If they're gonna put up some points. Maybe down there in the red zone, he tosses a couple of them. That's what I'm hopeful for anyway. So that's my angle here. I'm going to take that prop and then maybe try to figure out something else because I think there's some definite opportunities in this game.
So check this out too. Maybe the Fields overpassing props is worth a shot because he's going to get wait till I read to you these stats here 1 second. Let me look at the Fields passing props. Because if I'm going to do an obscure quarterback, Davis Mills, freaking Daniel Jones style for alternate passing yards, you might as well throw Justin Fields in there. He's going to be in the same boat. Justin Fields to get 225 plus passing yards is plus 370. If you think Justin Fields can chuck it for 250 yards today, then 700. Now, these can be screens. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And tight end hits to Cole. Commit or something like that. So I would maybe take a shot on that if you think there's going to be a lot of points. And this would lead you to believe that there will be. So the Lions 27th in defense, the Bears 28th. Both teams accumulate a combined 732.9 yards a game, but they both allow 784.9 yards a game. So they both near an average of giving up 400 yards of total offense. And the teams have split the last series, the last 3 years, and Chicago is on a 4-1 overrun. Although the Lions, they can't seem to score on the road. That's the one note. They are 8-3 to the under on the road. So Bears Lions, weather looks okay there. You heard that tick. Next game here on the list. Ooh. We go back to the greater Pittsburgh area. And the line is dropping. Breaking news. We have line movement. The Saints are now down to a minus 1 point favorite. And the under over is now at 39.5. So lines starting to move all over this place. I talked about it beforehand. Let me go ahead and get my Steelers graphic up real quick. Saints and the Steelers, 1 o'clock at, I don't even know how to say this, Acrisure Stadium, Anthony. Oh, my goodness. 1 p.m.
Screw that. Screw that. It's still Heinz Field.
Heinz Field. Overall defense, the Saints 25th, Steelers 20th, but TJ Watt looks like he might be back today. Anthony can confirm that in a minute. But the Steelers are 6-1 on the underrun at home. But they also are 4-1-1 against the spread at home in their last 6. The Saints lead this all-time series between the two, 9-7, which playing every 4 years, and the Steelers being generally a better franchise than the Saints is kind of a shocking stat in that regard. But that bears no factor today. I have this game completely locked in on my pick because I've talked about it before. I've been on the Saints games all year. The only one to do me wrong was when I bought into them a little too much myself. I should have used common sense. I was banking on Ravens injuries on Monday night, but Lamar Jackson carried the Ravens to victory over a hapless Saints team on offense, where the Saints were up there in the passing yardage leadership. They definitely regressed last week. I look for Pittsburgh after a bye week to have a good day at home against this Dome team. This is going to be a good atmosphere. This is the Steelers' chance right now to turn the season completely around. If they get Watt back, maybe that brings some energy to this defense. The Steeler fans are all too familiar with Andy Dalton. If he's indeed going to be the quarterback, is Jameis Winston going to come back in to the mix? Who knows? Lots of questions here, but I'm not afraid to hammer the Steelers home to win by a couple of scores here in Pittsburgh, and you're going to get paid very nicely to do so. They have a capable field goal kicker, so instead of laying 12.5, I'll lay 13.5, and I'm going to get paid over. I'd have to double check what the ticket says on Twitter, but it's juicy and it's well over 3-1 odds. Anthony, this is your turf. Speak so of the Saints Steelers 1 p.m. today.
I mean, there's a reason why that line's dropping. It's because Pittsburgh's gonna win. Home game against Andy Dalton. It's like they're playing the Bengals again. So I'm totally okay with this. Now here's the good and bad news with the TJ Watt stuff. Watt's gonna be back, but Minka Fitzpatrick's not. Apparently he had appendicitis.
I did see that scroll through last night, yes.
Yep, it says Minka Fitzpatrick has been ruled out with appendicitis. His timetable is it's probably going to be a week or so. And I only know this because I had it when I was 12. And it takes a week or so for that scar to heal up. So
yeah, I've had that surgery. It's no fun.
It's miserable. And that stupid, useless organ, which is kind of very similar to Green Bay's offense, that organ blew up in me, and I didn't even notice. I'm like, this hurts. Oh, shit. Let's go to the hospital. Hey, by the way, your appendix burst. 36 hours later.
Mine was very close. Yep.
Worst part was, appendix burst. Mom, my stomach hurts. Drink ginger ale and quit being a little bitch.
Let's see. I was looking to add Pickett potentially to my scrubby quarterback great yardage list prop today. Plus 320 for Kenny Pickett to get 275 yards. But I think I like this one just better. We're going to go back to our boy because with the trade of Chase Claypool, in comes the expected breakout scenario for Mr. George Pickens at plus 330 for one touchdown is really nice. But let me tell you, he is still up there and dropping. Plus 2,900 now for George Pickens to get 2 touchdowns. Freiermuth is at 30-1 for 2 touchdowns. Najee, we learned not to take him for 2 touchdowns. 10-1 odds. Kamara is 6-1. There's our boy Taysom Hill, 20-1. We always have to mention Taysom Hill. Taysom Hill to get 3 touchdowns. They actually don't have Taysom Hill on the 3 touchdown list today. Only Harris, Kamara, and Deontay Johnson is on there. but he drops too many balls for me. I'm going to trust Pickens on my player parlay for 2 touchdowns. And if he gets 2, that's really going to pump the payouts nicely. Anthony, you like Pittsburgh to win, basically. So you're going to go with any kind of Pittsburgh player props, I'm sure. Can Pickett get to 275 yards passing?
I think it's possible. My only concern is the weather, and I'm nervous that this is going to be a much slower paced kind of game. I don't expect fireworks. That's my only drawback with this.
If the Steelers Steelers have a coming out party, so to speak, then that's could happen.
Then Pickens and Johnson and Freiermuth definitely will have a day. Like I said, I'm just worried. Rookie quarterback, the Saints, Andy Dalton, Minka not being there. I know TJ Watt's back. He's definitely going to give them a much needed spark. This Najee Harris thing got me all flustered because now they got what's the guy's name? His last name's Warren. What's his first name? Jalen Warren,
yes.
Rookie. There's rumors that he's going to start. Najee's washed. They got comparisons to that Najee's Trent Richardson, if you remember him from years prior.
Right.
So I actually like being contrarian and taking Najee just for one, not for 2, just for one, and be contrarian because no one's going to take him.
All right. So,
but I also do like the Saints. I mean, it's Michael Thomas. He's not coming back this year. So if he's on any of your rosters, get rid of him. Olave has been an absolute stud. And they're also getting Jarvis Landry back. But anything I tell you about the Saints is going to go completely down the toilet when Taysom Hill rushes it for 3 touchdowns somehow.
I've been the Saints fader. I'll continue to be so. I'm hammering Pittsburgh on the alt line. Nephew Dave?
Yeah, so I'm gonna just quickly update for you, Steve, on that Twitter. Your pick there. Your official pick was alternate spread minus 13.5 at plus 480.
Okay, so good number there. I like that.
So as I'm looking into it, I'm finding an angle. Ant-Man worries me a little bit with the slower pace game, but I'm looking at Kenny Pickett over 1.5 touchdown passes. So if he's throwing it to your boy, you might be taking him in a player prop. Plus 160 on that, not super high value, but can he toss 2 of them? I don't think that's too much to ask, is it?
No, I don't think so at all.
So I'm gonna take a look at that. But if I'm taking anything, it's Pickett for 2 of them.
All right, next game on the board. Let's go to Miami. 3.5-point favorites for the Dolphins. Over under is 49.5. I've been staying away from Browns games. I've been staying away from Dolphin games. When they both play each other, I stay away completely. I'll give you boys a chance to talk me into anything, though. Anthony, Browns and Dolphins, what do you got?
Well, the first thing is the soccer game, the team that's not white.
We have
the other color, like red and blue or something like that.
They scored?
Yeah, it looks like they scored. I'm waiting for an update. So they're called Burnley.
Yes.
What the hell's that?
The team we don't.
Is that good or bad?
Bad.
I take it as silence is not a good thing. So anyway, on to Miami. Look, this game's being played in Miami. It's going to be hot. Tua is on fire, at least until his next concussion. I might throw something in with Tyreek or Waddle. I'm actually gearing towards a Tyreek Hill 2-touchdown game. I expect a bigger day for Cleveland with their pass catchers, more or less the running backs. I know Chubb's obviously the overwhelming favorite. I'll probably get in. But I'm liking Donovan Peoples-Jones and Amari Cooper for Cleveland. I think Miami's going to get up big. Cleveland's going to have to throw. And they're not going to have much of a chance to establish their wonderful ground game like what they did against Cincinnati a few weeks ago.
Peoples-Jones to get 60 yards is plus 174. plus 270 to get 70 yards. 80 yards to get is plus 400. Amari Cooper is 80 yards plus 178. 100 yards is plus 370. And you think Amari Cooper can get 110 yards plus 550. So that's pretty juicy to you, Anthony?
I'm okay with it. I think that Tua is going to do what he always does. There are all these slants to Waddle and Hill, and it's going to be those two the entire game. They have a running game of some sort with Mostert, with Jeff Wilson, but Tua's going to be airing this thing out. It's in Miami. It's not going to be cold there. Cleveland is obviously out of their comfort zone, but are we really that out of our comfort zone in Miami in November? It's not going to be that hot.
Unless they went strip.
This isn't New England. Yeah, this isn't New England playing Miami in week 2.
Exactly. Nice day down there, 77 degrees and beautiful skies. But that's not overwhelming heat. That's for sure. Nephew Dave, what do you like?
So I think I'm gonna move the spread with the Dolphins. I'm agreeing with the Ant-Man. I think they're gonna light it up. So I'm gonna move it to 9.5 at plus 194. I'm gonna take that as an official pick. Dolphins win by a couple scores.
All right. Browns 24th in defense, Dolphins 29th. So that would lead you to think an over. The Dolphins are on a 0-5-1 ATS run, and the Browns are on a 5-2 over run. If you like survivor pools, you're looking for teams just to win at home, you still have them. Dolphins winners of 9 of 10 at home in their last 10. But they've gone under, and the Browns are on an under run as well. So some contradicting stats there. We'll see how that plays out in Miami. Okay. 1 or 2 games left. We're really starting to get through this good. Almost done with the 1 o'clocks. Buffalo and Minnesota. Buffalo is minus 6.5. Over under is now up to 46.5 and climbing. Boys, I did this simple. This is the Case Keenum revenge game, I think, or Allen plays. Either or. Anthony's going to confirm that hopefully here in a second. But I'm going to look alternate over in this game regardless, just because of the field talent alone. You have Diggs, you have Jefferson. I'm going to take Jefferson for 2 touchdowns. He's going to be on my player ticket today. I can see the Vikings even winning this game, although their margin of victory, I looked this up specifically myself, and the Vikings' average margin of victory is just 4 points on the season. The Bills are 7-1 to the under. The Vikings have won 5 in a row. Diggs and Jefferson, I talked about them. They've combined for 119 receptions so far on the season. 60 for Diggs, 59 for Jefferson. I like Jefferson to score. I like Case Keenum to put up the points if he plays. I like Josh Allen to put up the points if he plays. Fun atmosphere up there in Buffalo. Anthony, what do you think?
So Josh Allen is going to be active today. Now here's the difficult portion of this. Buffalo hasn't actually announced if he's going to start, which is a huge smokescreen. So this line is going to go up and down and up and down. Now they are playing Minnesota. This is a revenge game for Case Keenum. It's also a revenge game for Stephon Diggs. So this is the most intriguing matchup, I think, of the day. You have a surging Vikings defense who've just been killing it.
This actually might get TV number 1, actually.
It should, because half my fantasy team's on it, which is horrifying. But this is a very intriguing game because it's either Allen plays or he doesn't play, or he's active and he doesn't play. It's tricky. I hate this because I'm a Josh Allen quarterback owner, and I don't know what to do.
Nephew Dave?
Yeah, so I have, as I'm looking here real quick, let me get back to it. I'm going to come at you with another weekly special. I have for you Justin Jefferson, 1+ receiving touchdown. I also have for you Stephon Diggs, 1+ receiving touchdown. Is that too much to ask for? I don't think so. Not even a little bit. Plus 330. Not super high value, but for those two, I don't want to call it a lock, but I think that the potential for this one to land, even if you want to do something by itself, maybe, I feel pretty good about that one in this kind of matchup.
Repeat for the listeners and myself one more time.
Justin Jefferson, 1+ receiving touchdown.
Yep.
Stephon Diggs, 1+ receiving touchdown.
Yeah, that's going to happen all day.
Plus 330.
Yeah, I like that. Anthony, you like that, right?
I'm okay with it. With whatever quarterback plays, I'm content with it. Like I said, if Josh Allen doesn't play, Case Keenum to Diggs, go for it.
All right. So
Justin Jefferson's my only worry. Now he scored last week, but the only other time he scored was when he scored twice in week 1. So as long as Jefferson doesn't get tackled at the 2 again,
yes,
like he always seems to do,
that cost me $25,000. If you
that cost me about $3,500 too. So don't worry, I'm equally as upset.
That was the hardest one, almost as tough as Mississippi basically pissing the bed yesterday at Alabama inside the 10-yard line. But I won't talk about that anymore like I did the first segment. But yeah, I took Jefferson for 2 touchdowns. And if I seem like I'm stalling a hair, boys, I'm just uploading the rest of the PDFs on the graphics. Let's see. 2 touchdowns for Jefferson is plus 850. That's going to be good enough for me today. I'd rather have him than a Gabriel Davis or a Knox. Diggs is plus 650. That's good, but low. Jefferson is the man, plus 850. Hey, who knows? Maybe Case Keenum knows Adam Thielen. Maybe he finds him in the mix and gets him involved at 23-1 odds for Thielen to get 2 touchdowns. But I'm going to go with Jefferson. He's a beast, and I'll roll with that. Nephew Dave, any last take on Minnesota Buffalo?
Nope, I'm going to go ahead and roll the weekly special. For me, I think that's the best. I have the best opportunity with that. So in a game where we think a lot of points, we just need these 2 guys to score just once. I don't think it's too much to ask for. So we're going with the weekly special plus 330.
Okay, we're going to go ahead and take our break. I'm going to actually kill this for the next break. Stand by as we get the delay in there. Okay. So we're going to go ahead and take our last break. And we got 1 o'clock game left, and then the rest of the slate. 4 games, we'll breeze through them. 4 or 5 games, and we'll be out of here. On a Sunday morning live from Virginia Beach, this is your deep dive of the whole NFL slate on the round robin.
Know your gambling limits. Don't ever bet what you can't cover. Wagering on sports is only fun when you do it the right way. Not every bet will win. When you get on a bad run, know it and avoid trouble. Know your gambling limits.
Tired of your swimming pool's diatomaceous earth pool filter? The constant cleaning, green pool, cloudy water? I thought this was supposed to be clean. Trust your swimming pool's water quality with a custom sand filter install. A clean, easy solution for your swimming pool operations. Contact Dependable Solutions at 757-354-5517.
Hey, does your home have algae or stains on the siding? Is there grime built up on your deck or brick patio? Coastal Pressure Washing Services has a warranty of professional services. From pressure washing to window cleaning to deck and fence staining, as well as dryer vent cleaning, You got it all. Call Coastal Pressure Washing at area code 757-439-9810 or visit our website at coastalpressurewashing.net. Again, call Coastal Pressure Washing at area code 757-439-9810 or visit our website at coastalpressurewashing.net.
Do you want to advertise with Deep End Broadcasting? Send us an email at deepend757@yahoo.com. That's deepend757@yahoo.com.
Control your alcohol. Don't fight. Don't drink and drive. Your one punch could kill someone. It happens. If you're behind the wheel, you may think you are fine, but then the other driver is under the influence of texting, and then you are done. Control your alcohol.
All right, we are back. This is the Round Robin. You are on the Deep End Broadcasting Network. This is your deep dive look at all the rest of the games on the NFL slate as we get to look for the maximum reward with the minimum profit. So the round robin is this, guys. If you need the lesson, I haven't done the weekly lesson yet, but the round robin is this. If you have your 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 game parlay, the round robin is all of these parlays put together in all kinds of different scenarios. So the more legs you have to a round robin, the more expensive it can be, but the payouts can be lucrative. People call you stupid for wanting to play them all the time. Whatever, I don't care. So teams A, B, C, D, and E. If you have a 3-game parlay, you're going to have all the legs. So 3-game parlays are teams A, B, and C, teams A, B, and D, teams B, D, and E, etc. Then 4-game parlays A, B, D, E, B, C, D, E, and then all of those all wrapped up into one big giant parlay. So we think you can move lines where you want to do them, find unique props paying out very good money. And if you can put some of these together and get lucky, then you can bang it home. All right, so we are broadcasting live. This is your last break, 9:20 a.m. in the morning. Moving well here. Let's get back into it. Denver Broncos at Tennessee Titans, Nissan Stadium, 1 o'clock. Overall defense, Broncos second. All right, I said beware of all the understats. So here we go.
Okay.
Overall defense, Broncos second, Titans seventh. The Titans are on a 6-0 overrun. That should be an underrun. Broncos are 7-1 to the under. The Titans are, there you go. I have a weird stats here, so don't pay too much attention to number 2. Titans are on a 11-4 underrun, okay? And the Broncos are 4-12 against the spread against the AFC in their last 16 games. Home team winning all the games the last 4 times that they've played. So, talked about Russell Wilson with Dave Del Grande, and is this the Broncos' turning point? He says no, not a believer. He's too short. So this is a tough matchup in Tennessee and Nashville. I don't know. I don't think I can get involved heavily. I do like for whatever reason that Derrick Henry under 108.5 rushing yards. That's a lot against the Broncos defense. So maybe if you have any game parlay of a bunch of stuff around even money, you go ahead and throw that in there. I don't know. Again, guys, you can try to enlighten me on something on this game. I'm not quite exactly sure. Nephew Dave, I'll start with you. Titans current line -2.5 over under 39.5 against Denver. What you got?
So I think if this is going to be a defensive game that you're kind of thinking, Steve, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to move the total. And so I'm moving the total to under 35. I kind of like that. If the Broncos defense is going to be the one thing for them that's going well, I guess they're just I don't know. I'm not a believer. I'm with Del Grande on that, so I'm going to kind of follow his lead. I am going to go ahead and move, so it's going to be an alternate total for me here today, Steve.
So you like the alternate under?
Yeah, I like the alternate under. I'm going to take it. Probably to 35. That's at plus 155, but it's paired with something that has better value than that. So that's just kind of a pump up, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
I like Tennessee to get it done today, and we're hoping for a defensive struggle, maybe a 17-7, something like that, somewhere in that neighborhood, would make me very happy. So I think Tennessee wins the game, and we're going to go under.
Okay. All right. So alternate under Tennessee for David. Anthony, you can't stand Russell Wilson. I know that for a fact. What do you got in this game, if anything?
Well, hold on. This game's got 20-17, Tennessee winning written all over it. I actually might put $5 on that correct score because this game sounds so predictable. I'm actually going to go with 20-17. I don't know what it pays, but I'm going to throw $5 on it because I don't care. This is going to be a nothing but a Derrick Henry game. Tannehill should be playing. I believe that Treylon Burks has been activated from the IR. But Denver's going to keep this game close. As weird as this sounds from a Russell Wilson hater, they're starting to oddly click. Not a lot, but just enough. Just enough to get it going. Obviously, them losing Javonte Williams, derailed them. But Wilson can still continue to be on his path, utilize Sutton, utilize Judy. Melvin Gordon still gets in the mix. I see them not getting blown out. So no alternate overs, no alternate spread for me on this one. What is the spread, by the way?
2.5 Titans, 39.5.
39.5. I'm sticking with 20-17.
Yeah, that's right there.
Yep.
Interesting. Okay. Nephew Dave has alternate under 35.5, so he hopes you're off a little bit. Maybe take 20-14 if you want to appease each other, Anthony. But I hear you, 20-17. That makes sense to me. All right, enough of that game. 4 o'clock window, Raiders -4.5 against the Colts. McDaniels could see his last game as a Raider coach. If Jeff Saturday, as the interim coach, comes in and beats the Raiders at home, we talked about this earlier, probably expect the Colts to try to ground and pound it the best that they can. We'll see if the running back can get a bulk of the load or if he's just going to be limited. That's going to be the big question there. The Raiders, man, I mean, this is just a hot mess game completely. I'll start with you, Dave. Go ahead.
Steve, I haven't looked into this game too much just because I couldn't agree with you more. What a hot mess this game is. I believe we talked about it earlier. Maybe an over here just because of the Raiders offense. I'm not sure if there's any injuries. I think that the Raiders could get their points. But for me in this one, it's just really hard to tell. You don't know what you're going to get out of the Raiders. It looks like they were going to get a win last week. They end up losing that game. The Colts aren't very good. I mean, to me, this is just a stink fest. and I don't really have anything for it. So if y'all can find something maybe to change my mind, that's what I'm going to be waiting for. I'm leaving it alone.
Colts are on a 13-1 underrun. They're also 8-3 against the spread as an underdog, if you can believe that. But the Raiders are 2-9 as a favorite here in their last 11. Anthony, anything stick out to you here? Adams was nice for us last week, but they haven't done anything since Adams had his second touchdown. And the Raiders, just terrible, really, really bad at times. Same as the Colts. Do you agree with Dave? Stinkfest galore?
Need the crickets.
I got him.
I was muted. My fault.
I got him somewhere. I thought that was it. I had where did the crickets go?
Now I was muted. Now look, they got Devontae Adams. They have Josh Jacobs. They have Matt Collins. That's it. And they just put Darren Waller on the IR. Same thing with Hunter Renfrow. Foster Moreau is the Raiders tight end that will be starting today. Colts, looks like Taylor's going to give it a go. Obviously, remember that Nyheim Hines is no longer on the team. Pittman's still going to play. But this is interesting. I hate that I want to watch this game because I'm curious how Indianapolis plays.
I think that if there's going to be a stab at this, I'm going to take a shot at the Johnson props, to be honest, and hope that he is just healthy enough to get low 20 carries or something like that. We'll see. But yeah,
I mean, it's because we've seen this in college and NFL where the head coach gets fired and then some random dude comes in, fires up the crew, and then they play their hearts out. This just happens to be Jeff Saturday, who was the center of the Colts, in the Peyton Manning era. And although his coaching career isn't really, I actually had to dig for this. He never coached in the NFL. He never coached in college. At least I don't think so. He coached at a high school team. And his record, where did he do? Jeff Saturday was 20-16 in 3 seasons as head coach at Hebron Christian Academy. If you were wondering, HCA is in Scapula, Georgia, and they have 1,000 students at that school.
Impressive.
So
good resume.
that's fantastic resume. But it's, like I said, you see it on ESPN. He's awesome. He's funny. He knows what he's doing. As far as coaching, I don't know what the hell Jim Irsay's doing. But you know what? I'm going to root for it. Plus, what else? What else do we have to do at 4:00?
Well, we have to watch another great game. The Cardinals and the Rams at 4:25 with potential matchup of John Wofford and Colt McCoy. Defense for the Cardinals 31st. Rams are 6 overall. Rams are 5-1 on an underrun. The Cardinals are 0-6 in their last 6 versus the division. The favorite is 10-2 and 1 in their last 13 matchups. But the Cardinals have been nice on the road. They still have that 10-4 against the spread run working for them in that regard. But the Rams are 11-1 straight up against the Cardinals in their last 12 meetings. I'm going to take a weird look at this because, like you said, we have nothing else better to do. And I'm going to go back to our flavor of the day and the crappy quarterback alternate passing yards. And they are not even on the board. Most of these props are actually off on the Cardinals and Rams game still, as we await the status of Kyler Murray and quarterback Matthew Stafford for the Rams. Go ahead, Anthony. Anything latest on those guys? Other injuries?
I hope I'm sleeping by then. I hope to God that I'm passed out in this corner of the couch that I'm sitting on right now, and I hope I'm passed the F out.
So So going strong at 405 for the Raiders, Colts to pass out by 425 for the Rams. You get your first half flavor of the Raiders game. You're like, oh man, this is bad. Then you can really pack it in. Nephew Dave, what do you got on this?
So, boy, I don't know. I don't really like much about this. I took the spread as it is right now. I think if you think the Rams are a little bit better of the two, you could move it, but they're giving the Rams -3 at plus 100, and it rounded off a plus 100. And it rounded off a parlay that I was building. So I just went ahead and took it. I know it's not super high value, but it finishes off what I was building. So I'm gonna go Rams -3 here, but I really don't think I would move it.
Del Grande likes that bet too, but just like as you said, pure and simple. Man, I mean, they're going to give us. Hopefully, the 4:00 games have been atrocious entertainment wise, and what we have on the menu today does not suggest that it's going to get any better. But we hope, and let's go to Lambeau Field. Anthony doesn't have any kind of special platform to kill the Packers on. They've killed themselves, I think is what he mentioned earlier. The Cowboys defense is 5th, but the Packers still have a above average defense at 14th overall. They are 1-6 on ATS run. The Packers, flip side, Cowboys 6-1 against the spread, and on a 14-6 under run are the Cowboys. The underdog is 4-0 in their last 4 meetings. And the Cowboys very good on the road as well. 6-1 ATS on the road for the Cowboys. I'm going to maybe take Pollard on some player props. I'll play around with that later. I haven't thought too much into this. I have a soft spot for Green Bay. Dallas is a good team in my opinion. I've been burned by Green Bay. The times I've taken them this year, which was last week too, I had one of my worst picks. Green Bay at the Lions. Nephew Dave, we'll start with you, and we'll let Anthony wrap that up.
All right. So I'm thinking about going 2 ways on this game, Steve. I might popcorn the alternate spreads here for Dallas, just in case. If they can get up to maybe even 3 scores, try and let all those spreads get home. So that's the way I'm thinking about attacking this game, but we'll see. I don't know if I'm crazy about this one, but I could see it happening. Steve, I have for us yet another weekly special.
Oh, wow. All right.
So for you, I have Dak Prescott, 1+ passing touchdown, paired with 1+ rushing touchdown for +300. So there's 2 ways for me that I'm going to attack this game, and it's going to be those 2 angles.
So Prescott for a passing touchdown and who for a rushing?
Prescott, a passing and a rushing touchdown.
So you think he does both, and that pays what, 3-1?
Yep.
I don't know if that's enough.
I thought that line would be a little bit bigger.
You would think.
Try the same game parlay that a different way. You might get better odds.
Right.
And that's a good lesson to the fans. Sometimes on the specials, they might try
and reel you in.
You can just adjust it a little bit your way and see what a payout you get.
Right.
Now the specials they do have some good ones where they boost them.
Yeah.
So you can't knock that. Anthony, what do you got on this game?
Oh, 2 things. Buccaneers, first minute of the game, 3-0.
Okay.
Leonard Fournette did not start. Rashad White did, which is I said that Fournette was probably going to start, but yeah, they must be ticked at him for that little passport stuff and the fact that he stinks. And Gino for a first down. Oh, right in the hands of Metcalf for the first down. Oh boy. Oh, this is great.
Live play-by-play here on the
live, an absolute fake to Kenneth Walker the third. Oh, nice out route to the Oh, the 35. Oh, here we go. Geno Smith is cooking.
Well,
All right.
So
all right. I just gave you my rundown of Green Bay, which is the play-by-play for this game because I have nothing.
All right.
Look, this is it. Look, the only positive that I have to say about Green Bay right now is they're oddly really, really good against good teams. They just stink against bad teams. I know they lost to Buffalo. They beat Tampa when they were actually relatively good. I can see them winning this game. I really can, not just for my biased Packer fan, but if I'm going down my little pity party trail, Romeo Doubs gets hurt, high ankle sprain. He's gone a month and a half. Christian Watson, another concussion. Aaron Jones, he got knocked out for a little bit. Rodgers doesn't have anyone to throw to. And half the defense is gone. So if they want to be relevant in this league, they need to beat Dallas. They're in Lambeau. And on top of that, guess who's coming to town? Not just the Cowboys. Who's their head coach? I'll give you a hint. He used to coach for them.
Yep, McCarthy. Yep. Mike McCarthy revenge game.
So is this going to be a revenge game for McCarthy? Or is this when Aaron Rodgers decides to be like, all right, I'm tired of just bitching. I'm going to actually go out and play. It's going to be difficult because he doesn't have some of his playmakers. I believe that Christian Watson is going to play. Obviously, Romeo Doubs, he's on the shelf. Randall Cobb, he's on the shelf. They have both their running backs. Alan Lazard is healthy. They're going to have to incorporate randoms. I mean, Robert Tonyan, he's always in play. I'm probably not going to bet it. I'm obviously just going to watch it and be miserable. But I'm still going to watch it and not bet it. But the only fantasy angle I can see is if you're looking at betting Tony Pollard, I would just do it now because Zeke is not – it's not guaranteed that he's playing.
Yeah, he likely out for today is what we saw.
He's likely out, but it's not official yet. So if you're going to do any Tony Pollard bets today,
do them now.
Do it now. Mm-hmm. I do like Dak for one plus. I might pair him with CeeDee Lamb, but I also like Dalton Schultz. Steve, do you remember watching Hunter Henry against Green Bay's defense when we were there?
Yep.
Those linebackers, no. I can see Dalton Schultz.
We haven't had the Dalton Schultz breakout game. You'll have to remind me of that.
Well, Dalton Schultz was hurt.
25 to 1
and,
for 2 touchdowns today.
Yeah, Dalton was hurt. Dak was hurt. But this could be a Dalton Schultz game. I might sprinkle him in with a few touchdown parlays. Geno Smith is sacked. A loss of 13 yards. This is the worst game I've ever watched, and I love it.
Not only are we available for professional voiceovers, but play-by-play duties as well for all you various broadcast companies out there. Okay, so an uphill battle for the Packers for sure, and at 160 to 1 odds to win the Super Bowl for Green Bay, that in itself is a staple mark of what everyone thinks of the franchise right now. A chance to maybe trying to make things right against Dallas, an uphill battle for sure. All right, San Diego Chargers at the 49ers, Levi Stadium, 8:20 tonight. 49ers are at a 6-1 ATS spread run at home. And overall, just 14-6. 14 wins, 6 losses against the spread in their last 20. In the under, the 49ers have been playing 3/4 of their games under in the last 16. So 12 games have gone under for the 49ers. I agree with Dave Grande. This is just a tough spot with the injuries with the Chargers. Lots of players coming back with the 49ers tonight. I could actually see a blowout, a collaborative effort. I'm going to lay multiple touchdowns, and I already have on my ticket on the Twitter page at DeepEnd757. Go see it there. I'm taking the 49ers big all day, straight up. I'll start with you, Anthony. What do you think about that?
What's their line? What, 7.5?
It's gone up. Yes, the line now is up to 7.5 in the 49ers game with the Chargers. Over under is, let's get this refreshed to make sure we are on a good quality line. We're getting 7.5, 45.5.
No, that line was 6.5 a couple of days ago. Everyone's just betting San Francisco. I know they just lost their cornerback. I don't remember what his name was, but San Francisco's a good team, and I believe they are playing in San Francisco. Correct?
Yep, home game. Now it would be a home game at the Chargers as well, so that doesn't matter. But yes.
Oh yeah, because they have about 8 fans.
Yep.
But this is gonna be. I'm so happy that this game isn't on TV today, or at least during the day. I hope that I'm passed out and gone for that game tonight, because I don't want to watch any of it. It looks miserable. Herbert's missing half of his weapons. It's gonna be the Christian McCaffrey show. Now I wouldn't be surprised if Deebo Samuel got in the mix. But I'm looking at San Francisco. What's Kyle Juszczyk paid for anytime touchdown score? Because this sounds like a Kyle Juszczyk or Jersers or whatever his name is.
9-1 anytime touchdown. I brought that up to Del Grande. He just thinks that his thumb is going to be wrapped up. Maybe they don't want to give him the ball. That's all.
Well, he writes for what? The Oakland Tribune? Is that it?
Used to, yes.
Or he used to?
Yes.
So he has an idea on San Fran. Okay. I'm going to dig more into that, but I'll avoid if I need to. But if he's healthy and going, maybe I'll just put him for.
He scores every night game. Every time they're on TV, you should score.
So guess what? Guess who's betting him to score first? Me. And you should too.
I'm going to take anytime touchdown Jimmy Garoppolo. 9-1. Garoppolo can get a touchdown. He can scramble. He can kind of fake bootleg it or something. I'm going to take a weird shot on Garoppolo, especially if the 49ers are putting up multiple touchdowns tonight. David, what do you think?
I'm going to go with some Christian McCaffrey props. I have them. I have a little odds booster here over in my book. He's paired with something else not football related. So it's just one of those little boosters, and I'm going to go ahead and take that. And then maybe I'm gonna stick it there for now. Maybe some other player props as I dive a little deeper come the evening time. But feeling pretty good about McCaffrey. He's worked himself into that offense pretty well. He's becoming quite the pickup for them. So I'm going to go ahead and go props with McCaffrey.
Okay. All right. Yeah. And his rushing props are paying well. His receiving are too. It's just who gets the spread, everyone's going to get their share.
Right.
Maybe tonight.
Right.
Maybe that's why I like Garoppolo scrambling around looking for different players. Oh, let me run it in because I'm able to do so.
Could definitely happen.
Okay, last game on the board, Commanders and Eagles tomorrow night at the Link. Eagles third-ranked defense. We all know that they are undefeated, and they are on an 8-1 overrun at home. Commanders 6-3 to the under this season. Nephew Dave, do you give your boys a chance tomorrow night?
Well, there's always a chance. Like we talked this morning. It's a divisional game, and you never know what can happen in these games. Now, is the probability very high of them winning? Obviously not. I mean, the Eagles, are the team to beat right now. They are the only undefeated team left, playing at a really high level. So it's going to be a huge task. As you can see, the spread is at -11 over here for me. So the book's not giving them much of a chance either. I think there's definitely come Monday when you're looking at it, there's definitely some ways to go in this game. The defense is, it sounds crazy. The Washington defense didn't start off very well. But their last couple games, they have really picked it up. And Chase Young should be coming back soon. I don't think he comes back this week. But within the next couple games, he should be back, and that'll help that defensive line that's already very stout and starting to do their job more and more. So, as far as getting home to the quarterback and creating a little bit of chaos up front. So we'll see what happens. Obviously I want him to win. I'll be pulling for him, probably watching. So we'll see what happens. So I wouldn't go maybe with an over, though, Steve, like you might think, although the Eagles can put up some points. So it's definitely something to think about. But like I said this morning, if you have any thought of, Washington can pull off this upset, you look what they did to the Steelers just a couple years ago. They derailed their perfect season. And then the Steelers after that went downhill. They finished, I believe it was 11-5 or something like that. So it can definitely happen. They've done it before, and at plus 400 on the money line, if you're feeling frisky, I mean, there's a ton of value there for that.
I think I'm going to look at Brian Robinson anytime touchdown score tomorrow at plus 220. And I might even take a flyer on him to get 2. I just see a bust out game coming out for him at some point.
Right.
Where he, the ultimate success story of him coming back. He's going to score, but he'll get 2 touchdowns as well. And why not on Monday night? I mean, the Eagles, they do have the 4th ranked defense. But man, this just has the Monday night. Let me bet the Eagles. But I won't cover the spread. It's a much closer game than I thought type of feel to it. And yeah, I wouldn't be fully shocked if the Commanders got their first win tomorrow night. Am I running to the bank to bet it? Not really. But Anthony, any kind of fantasy angles on this last game? Anything you like?
Not really. This game kind of reeks. I mean,
Heineke's
Washington
not even paying that much for over 250 or 275. So he's actually getting respect in the market for his passing yards tomorrow, which that kind of makes me pump the brakes on that.
I have zero rooting interest in this game. I know, David, I know you are the football fan, but I can see the upset. I really could. Oh, by the way, Tampa Bay missed a field goal. So still knotted at 0.
So
Suck up, you stink.
So if you have the alternate under in this game, you're off to a good start there. All right. That's it, I guess, for the games. Let's review the picks. We'll get on out of here so you can get to this football game we have going on now. I'll start with you, David. What do you got on your favorite plays?
All right, so my favorite plays is going to be this. I have over 1.5 passing touchdowns for Geno Smith this morning. I have over 1.5 for Justin Fields as well. These are passing touchdowns. And then I have something I don't usually do, so I'm going to take a little test run here. I have Green Bay Packers total points. It's a bands, though. So it's giving me – I took them for 11 through 20 points. So if they can get 13 to 17, that would make me super happy. And that's my solid play for the day, I think. We're going to try this bands thing out here, Steve.
All right, we'll see how the bands go for David. Anthony, do you have any fantasy sleepers, anything you particularly love that you're going to be on board with?
Well, I'm going to go with that Daniel Jones and Davis Mills, 250 apiece. I might parlay that with the touchdown scores.
Okay.
I'm looking at this. I mean, and I haven't built them yet, but Henry for 2. I'm fine with Diggs scoring, Kelsey scoring. I know ETN's the hot commodity, but I'm actually going to avoid that. I actually am going to pivot and go to Christian Kirk. As far as the Browns game is concerned, I'm going to put Tyreek and Amari Cooper in to both score as well. And this is, I'm going to do a separate one as well, but Justin Fields, I'm fine with rolling with him again. The only contrarian one that I have is that Najee is going to score. I've talked to a few folks. They are telling me that I'm insane, thinking that he's not going to play at all, but I would not be surprised if Najee gets in the end zone today. I'm going to go with Barkley and 125 rushing yards, and for him to score at least once. I might sprinkle him in for 2 in another one. As far as this Raiders game, I'm going back to the well with Michael Pittman. I won't be surprised if Jonathan Taylor scores, but I'm going to go back to the well with Pittman. And right now, Tony Pollard is still only plus 100, so I'm going to throw him in the mix. And then the 4 o'clock games, like I said, I'll be long gone. David, Nephew Dave, I expect nothing more than fireball shots around 2:30 to put my ass to sleep, just like you guys did last Sunday, because I was curled up and I could barely move around 6:30, and you know what? I loved it.
Good times.
Here is my round robin, and we'll get out of here. I'm going to score 2 touchdowns each. Clyde Edwards-Helaire, DeAndre Swift, George Pickens, Justin Jefferson, and then I'm going to look for 1 touchdown by Jimmy Garoppolo. So that is my play there. I'm also going to we have the Buccaneers at minus 16.5. We might be tearing that ticket up, looking for a new dancing partner for the next 3. But we have Pittsburgh locked in at minus 13.5. We are going to take the 49ers at minus 19.5. And I'm not sure which ticket I sent you, Dave. Okay. I'm going to have to readjust here, but I have the Bears and Lions over 60.5. I'm going to take one. I'm going to do a curveball here. So new ticket to play. Steelers will stick with minus 13.5. We're going to stick with the 49ers at minus 19.5. We're going to take the alternate over in the Bills and the Vikings 55.5. And we will take the oddball pick of Texans Giants over 52.5. In that game, that will be a new round robin for me. All right. So that's it. That is your week 10 full recap. Dave Del Grande, we thank you from joining us on the road in Denver. Programming notes before we get out of here. What the Puck is going on is tomorrow night at 6 o'clock live. The Friday Soccer Paycheck, Friday, 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time live. We will have Greg Foley in here with the World Cup breakdown. Let's see. What else? Christmas party. We have our Christmas party that is officially going to be underway. Thank you to Chastity at CP's. So December the 18th, Sunday morning, special start broadcast time of 8:30 a.m. We'll wander until 11:30 or 12. So everyone gets in for that slate of games. But we're going to hustle and bustle. We'll have the ugly Christmas sweater theme. El Cheapo happy hour beverages galore. There will definitely be a tab on the show, I think. And it sounds like a nice breakfast. Ooh. Thank you, guys. Good luck on your tickets. We'll see you next time.
Oh, I played my games many Keep